Okay, so I'm at the end of this video. Psst. Latrese. Psst. Oh God, we're into the next day. It's like 15 minutes after midnight, for crying out loud. On November 19th of 2024. I pulled out those jars. They held up really well. I find that when they're popping, 4 have popped so far in terms of sealing. They're very, the sound of this, the popping really sounds strong. So that's good. So what little leftover I have in terms of that apple with the plum, I already talked to Andre about it. After I'm done with the pork, I said we should make a breakfast bar with it. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to call it a breakfast bar and snack on it. And I can use it with Mari as well because I can mix it with whipping cream, right? Apple, oatmeal, butter, that all goes well with whipping cream, right? Plums. So anyway, we're going to finish this because I'm listening to this person named Latrese Allen. And like, I'm serious. We're gonna take a little lissy poo here, just because, you know. Okay. This person says she makes about $12,000 a month between Facebook and YouTube, right? And that it's not enough money to pay her expenses. So she downsized from a house that she bought. Apparently she owns 2 now. Because she couldn't afford the mortgage with the amount of money that she's making. So she goes back to the hood where she first started off with her kids. But it's a nice hood, right? It's a quiet one. It's still the hood though, right? And before she even gets unpacked, she comes in with a whole bunch of freaking candy that she's going to sell to all the poor little kids in the apartment complex. Okay. And then she says she's going to start cooking this and cooking that, and you know, and tacos on the run, and I don't know, some crab cuisine, and she's going to sell frozen smoothie of sorts, right? Because, you know, she's on her grind, eh? And then she mentioned that she's going to do it before she leaves, because she only plans on living here for about a year, for 1 year, right? To you know, get a handle on her spending and lower her bills, right? So that she can go back where she came from when she's ready to leave this place, as she's teaching her kids how to be humble and grateful for the things that they have, because they were taking advantage of where they were prior to moving here. Okay. Oh my God. My leg is cramping up on me. I've been on my feet all day. Hold on. It's because I'm on my feet too much, that's why. Okay, and then she's talking about how she's going to do a little back to school drive before she leaves, because she's going to be selling candy the whole time she's there to little kids, so that she can make money. You heard that, right? So she can make money. But she's going to be charitable before she leaves by having a back-to-school backpack drive. Asking for more donations. As she's here right now, just moved into this apartment, asking for donations. Every little bit helps. She makes $12,000 a month, right? And she's asking for donations for cups and lids so that she can sell these smoothie things that are frozen and make a profit for herself so she can stack and pack it. As she brags about how her one sister gave her $700 and took her shopping to go buy all that candy, I suppose, right? And another sister, I don't know, gave her something. As she's asking for sheets for her kids, boys, right? Because, just in case of an emergency, they might need more. It's good to have. What the hell? Didn't you have sheets where you came from? Like, why did you not pack your sheets and move with your sheets? Like, it doesn't make any sense, people, right? So anyway, we're going to listen to this because don't forget, I sent her shit, right? And, like, I understand that she's black and she appeals to the black community. Birds of a feather like to flock together, right? And, she's got the gift of the gab. There's no question about that. And, I don't know, like, I can outcook this woman any day, people. She puts herself in front of a little cell phone. Well, several of them, I think. That's how she snags into TikTok, Instagram, which she gets paid from, but she didn't mention those two, how much she makes. Facebook and YouTube. I said, Andre, we need to get a, I'm now thinking to get a cell phone after all these years, because I want to be a Latrese Allen and bring my cell phone to my kitchen where it's a little closer and I can live stream. Versus using a camcorder like I do, right? And then hook into the live streams so I can build up that traffic. But that's assuming that traffic would even be redirected in my direction. Because we already know I'm shadow banned. This one talks about being shadow banned. She doesn't even know what the word means. Try walking in my shoes. Sitting up in Canada, being blocked by people like this after they take my donations for a back-to-school drive. And the minute she moves into the fucking complex where she's going to have a back-to-school drive, she's asking everybody to cough up money because she wants to stack and pack it. And as she's doing that, she's still, after all this time, begging on fucking line for donations because, she needs to start this and she needs that and she needs. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man. And people are so gullible. They're so freaking gullible. This person speaks with forked tongue. Where's my fingers? There they are. Forked tongue. I make $12,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. No, that's not correct. I make $12,000 a month. So that puts me at $32,000 a year. Yeah, okay. And I'm sitting on my $16,500 welfare check. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, well, I'm broke. All my expenses are $1,700 a month. But I just didn't have enough money. Making $17,000 a month. All my expenses are, $17,000 a month. But over here, I'm making $12,000 a month. So therefore, I gotta be a leader. And how did she say that? A boss is not afraid of loss. So she took a loss by moving into this apartment to cut back on her expenses and let one of her family members rent out the house so that at least she doesn't lose the house and the mortgage is paid, and somehow it's like a light bulb moment where she's, well, I'm here to teach you how to hang on to your house. Gotta do what you gotta do because the boss isn't afraid to take loss. And I'm like, yeah, okay. As she's begging for fucking money. Yeah. Where's those hats, Latrese Allen? I'd like to know. You're with the kids. You haven't even moved into the freaking neighborhood, and already you're enticing them to come knocking on your door. Oh, the kids can come in and buy candy. But you say, what did you say? What did this woman say? Nobody can, like, in terms of an adult, can just pop in and visit and hang out. And no, you either go there to work, or you gotta contribute something before you can have the courtesy of sitting in her house just chilling. But she's quick to open the freaking door to a whole bunch of freaking kids, right? And I don't know. You're going to collect money from them for a whole freaking year selling candy? And then before you leave and move back to your rich bitch house, you're going to have a little back to school drive for the backpacks, right? And what? Give those backpacks to those kids that you took money from for a whole freaking year while you were there saving it? So you can, in a year from now, continue to ask for more shit? Like, it's stupid. And YouTube props this woman's ass up. The only reason is because she's doing live streams, and she's black, and she caters to the African American, namely women, right? That's her niche. Look, it's stupid. Let's see what she does. Let's hope I can see in a year from now her doing her little back to school backpack drive after she milked those poor kids. She's living in a freaking apartment, for crying out loud, people, in the hood. Only it's a nice quiet hood, right? Either or. Remember what she said she was like before she even became who she is now. And she's selling the candy so she doesn't go back to with bad behavior in terms of boosting and all that other shit that she was doing when it's selling other people's property that doesn't belong to you. That's boosting, right? I think that's what that's called. Unless, of course, she went into the store itself and stole something and then sold it to somebody else to sell somewhere else. I don't know. It just has to do with hot goods, though. So she's not selling hot goods. She's selling fucking candy to kids to have them come to her door. But she's willing to slam the door in adults' faces. Then you can't come in, but the kids can. Yeah, okay. So what? Is this woman now using her kids as bait? Is that it? For other kids to come? And then what? She's going to be, what? Mama Latrese? Yeah, okay. Wait until a Marnie shows up. A.K.A. a Marnie.
Oh, Lord, I hope it's $50,000. We on the phone trying to guess. Like, I said, no, I don't think it's that. I said, she going to have to get some millions of dollars to give me that. I said, but whatever it is, I'm thankful. It could be 400, it could be 2. I'm good. So she came and she said, it ain't much. I said, oh, this is much, honey. I count.
Yeah. One sister gave her $700. I think this other sister gave her this. And she's still crying on the freaking internet for people to buy her plastic cups with lids so that she can make some frozen slushy and sell it to the neighborhood kids. So that she can save money. While she continues to make over $12,000 a month so she can pay her bills. And people, I don't know. Like, she's either lying, and that's why she's so desperate with her begging, right? Because she's always begging, but it seems to be picking up pace here, right? And, I mean, like, hell, I feel guilty even thinking about going to the food bank with the amount of food I have in this house. Seriously. But I'm at the point where I need to reverse my spending habits, focus on being more frugal, and if I can, utilize, especially in the summertime, homegrown organic fruit that nobody wants, that if I, by the grace of God, can see, I will can it up and or make juice and do both, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's a freaking social time too, right? You know, it's nice to go and just be connected to something loving, right? In terms of, you know, just being treated with dignity, for crying out loud, right? Even though it's not a very long social interaction, it's nice to know that somebody else out there actually fucking cares about you and is willing to take the time to let you wander through the aisle to pick a few pieces of groceries that you'd like to have, or in many cases, people really, 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 really need. What do I need? I need the social time. And I'm going to ask them when I get there at some point, are you still accepting donations that are outside of quote-unquote food? Right? Because, I have a surplus of toys. Would it be okay if I by a box of toys? And then one day I'll just come by with a box of toys. And the children can pick toys. Maybe a box of books. Who knows? Maybe some games. Anything. You don't know what I'm going to say. Okay, Andre, just time to let go, right? In terms of whatever it is. I don't know. Even if I don't do it, it doesn't matter. I'm looking forward to the apples that nobody wants, sitting over there off to the wayside that's just going to end up in the compost heap, right? I'm not afraid to ask. In terms of, can I have those? Is anyone doing anything with? No, they're not. They're no good. Wait a minute. They don't look that way to me. Because I know what to do with them. Anyway, let's listen to this woman for a bit more, because it's so fake. Like so fake, and people are so dumb. It's like you can't see through the forest,
Out of them little $700, I said, baby, this feels much. Some of this ain't much.
And she can address me if she wants to, but she won't. Before she fucking takes things serious, she just blocked me, right? If she wants to get this video taken down because of whatever, well, then that really shows what kind of character she is, because she's the one that has my hats, my ex-G Kids hats, right? Like, seriously, you're putting yourself in the position of a whole bunch of fucking kids, and the first thing you want is money from them, right? I mean, that's wrong, people. So that she can prop herself up as she brags on the same freaking video that she makes over $12,000 a month on social media doing this. What is that? That's a forked tongue.
This is much. This is a blessing. So, yeah, push that all the way down. I was thankful, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't never know. You can give me $20, baby. Anything a blessing to me. Especially when
How about a box of apples where not every apple is in perfect condition? Where you actually have to cut off the rot to get to the meat where it's good and make something of substance out of it, versus begging the public to give you $20 when you're rolling with $12,000. Like, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And that's why this woman never helped me, people. Because whatever she's been doing, it's never been enough. It's always been, I'm not able to do it because I'm not, quote unquote, wealthy enough. When I make $1 million, Miss Charney, that's when I'll help you. Yeah, okay. Whatever. I think she's just whatever. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
I just pay my insurance too. You reap what you sow. You are always helping people. I just love you.
Who does she help? Who is she? I swear this person talks to herself sometimes, just so that she can come back with an answer like that. Yeah, because who does she really help? If anything, a small circle of family members and maybe one or two friends, and that's a here and now, like a here and every now and then kind of situation. She's too busy asking for help to be helping anybody. Okay?
Love you too, Jacqueline Ward. Thank you too for giving me my kids a housewarming gift. We appreciate everything, y'all, because we need everything.
Why? Why would she need everything? She's got one house sitting up somewhere else. It's an art. She rents it out for people to have vacations in. And the house that she just apparently moved out of, that mortgage and any related bills to house, right, like gas and all that crap, is going to be paid for by the tenants. But she remains the owner. And that was the reason why she moved into where she is right now. Okay, so if you've been living in a house that belongs to you for X amount of time, clearly you have sheets for the fucking beds that your kids were sleeping on, so why didn't you bring them with you? Right? It doesn't make... You got your TVs. She talks about all her TVs being hung up on the wall, and we're talking big-ass TVs, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's just freaky. Okay? For me, it's freaky. And... You know, she's crying like, why? What makes this person so special where people have to buy sheets and cups with lids and pots and this, and because she got a whole wish list, right? Oh, and she even mentioned that whatever pots that she had on her wish list on Amazon, they weren't the most expensive because it wasn't necessary to have a set that was worth $300. Well, where's the pots that you had in your quote-unquote house that you own? You left them behind for your sister's friends to have? Why didn't they come with their own? That doesn't make any sense, people. Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
We taking whatever, honey. You can get cheap, whatever you can afford.
Yeah, you can get cheap. Send me $5, whatever you can afford, because it all starts to add up. Well, that's just weird. Like, totally straight up freaking weird.
I'm not picky at all, I promise you. I'm not picky. I'm putting a pot set on there and all, honey.
See? I put a pot set in there and all. Why didn't she bring her pots? Every woman likes their pots. Like, seriously, okay? You know I like my pots. You know when I go blind, I'm going to mourning for my pots. Okay? What prevented this person from bringing her pots from her house? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Instead, she's hoping some stranger will buy her a set of fucking pots as a housewarming gift. Yeah, okay.
And I'm talking about I ain't putting no expensive one. They got some on here $300 on the baby. We don't need all that.
We don't need all that.
We don't need all that. I'm just really not big on, you know, trying to get the most expensive pots. Since I just did them signature plies, I did 25 pies. I'm grinding too, sis, hurting and all. I got you for sure. Thank you, Trey Breezy Hayes. I appreciate the blessing you sent me last week, too. God is good. Her community wall. Well, Kendra, it's on my community wall, Kendra, baby. I'm going to have to send you some money because the register is giving me a hard time. Oh, you don't know how to do it? A lot of people don't be knowing how to do it, but it's some type of way. I don't know neither. I'm slow a little bit when it comes to that. You got to change. You got to...
Anyway, I'm just going to put this video into my description box. Okay? Let me cook at my new place. Okay. Alright, so this is part 2 of part 1 of Only Landlords Can Eat. Right? But you can't. Because I'm going to convert over, as you can see, this first, and it ends with me munching on raw asparagus. To which, it came to my attention yesterday, November 17th of 2024, to which it's November 18th of 2024, that there's an E. coli outbreak that's international in regards to, I guess, carrots. And what have I been doing, people? I'm shredding carrots and parsnips, and I'm working with, 10 bundles of asparagus and blah, 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 blah. And so, okay. So I'm like, all right, you just bought carrots. You've got carrots in your fridge. You just shredded carrots. Like, holy shit. But I've been working with food for a long, long, long time. And honestly, I don't think I should have to send back the carrots that I just bought yesterday, because this notice of carrot outbreak with E. coli has been around for a few days anyway. In terms of, I heard this information yesterday from a YouTuber who heard the information from somewhere else that clearly is all over the internet now. So whatever Walmart sold me yesterday when it comes to quote-unquote carrots, they themselves, if the product needs to be recalled, they themselves should have recalled it before they even sold it to me. Right? Okay. And don't forget, I ordered this shit online. So it's not like they can't contact me and say, well, your last shop a week and a half ago, we'll just say, for example, with Canadian Superstore, or even Walmart for that matter, we noticed that you bought a whole bunch of carrots and there's been a recall, and we're recalling the carrots that you bought. But if I were to order more carrots today, are they going to sell me these carrots that are being recalled? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, in light of what's going on, and for all I know, I have these carrots that could or could not be contaminated with E. coli, right? Because it's a hit and miss, okay? Just because they recall something doesn't mean that each and every bag of carrots in the millions is contaminated with E. coli, okay? We have to just keep that on the burner, right? Now, when you're buying hamburger, everybody knows you have to cook it until there's no blood, because it's a hit and miss with hamburger, with the E. coli, because hamburger comes from different parts of the cow that people don't normally want, and it's getting close to the freaking intestines, and if a little poop gets in there, that's where the E. coli comes from, is from the animal intestines, through the digestive tract. And that's why you have to fully cook hamburger before you can consume it. If you're growing vegetables in a field with a bunch of raw manure, then yeah, it's going to pick up E. coli, right? To some degree or another, because it's being passed through the intestines and then deposited into the manure. When the border was wide open, I don't know if the farmers still have this problem up in the Texas area, but with all those immigrants coming over and parking their asses in the cornfields and then pooping in the cornfields, right, where you got, a pile of shit here and a pile of shit there and everywhere, right, that is going to leach into the ground and, yes, could quite possibly contaminate the corn, because the corn, the plant itself sucks it up through the roots, right? It's the same thing with apple trees. If you got an apple tree growing where, there's an abundance of feces around it, there is the potential for the apples to collect E. coli. Okay? I'm just saying. But the way you deal with that problem, if you think you might be coming into contaminated food, because you're never 100% sure unless you get it tested, you just have to cook it to kill it off. That's it. So with meat, you make sure there's no blood, and you bring it to a fry, and you give it a few minutes, and it kills the E. coli. Same thing like with botulism when you're canning. You put it in the pressure canner, we'll just say a pint-sized jar of meat, for 75 minutes. So that at some point, that heat inside the pressure canner rises above 240 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm pretty sure it's 240 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? Within, and if that temperature can be held, it's more than the boiling point. That's why you can't do it in a water bath. Unless, of course, maybe the Amish people, they do their 3-hour water bath boil to bring that temperature up to that point where it can kill botulism. And once you get it to that temperature, which I'm pretty sure it's over 240 degrees, right? It has to be held for at least 3 minutes in order to kill the spores. Okay? You have to kill the spores in order to remove it from the product inside the jar after it's been sealed. And even then, you should take the safety measures and reheat your food, bring it to that, right? So boil it. That's why they say about 10 minutes on that to try and kill off anything that may be left behind in the event of that you may have botulism inside the jar through the canning process. Well, the same kind of principle applies with E. coli. Now, I don't know how long you have to hold the temperature to which it is saying 160. I read one place said 160. This one's putting it at 165 degree Fahrenheit in order to kill the E. coli bacteria, right? So that you can safely consume your food before, right? So my question is, and I've been trying to Google it, and I haven't narrowed it down yet. Okay, I am not sending back the carrots that I have, whether they're in my fridge or the 2 that I bought, because the only thing I'm going to be doing with them is one of 2 things. I'm either going to cook them up, right, and I'll go out of my way and I'll extra boil them, which is well over 165 degrees, okay, and I'll mash them up and we'll eat them. Because once you get it past 165 degrees for enough time boiling, you're going to kill off any E. coli and you're good to go, right? However, I don't know. Now, let me put it to you this way. You buy carrots, you buy hamburger, and you put them both in the freezer, but they're contaminated with E. coli. You freeze it. What happens is the E. coli goes into a dormant stage, obviously, because it's frozen. But as soon as you start unthawing it, it has the opportunity to multiply. But what multiplies it? Is it because the product is dry, or is it because it is moist? I always say water is your worst enemy when it comes to certain things, because it's the water that, first of all, travels into nooks and crannies. It can go anywhere. Good luck trying to prevent it from going where it wants to go, because it will go to the path of least resistance, right? And it's the perfect conductor for bacteria and germs to multiply. Now, if you remove the water from the source of the bacteria, so in other words, the carrots are the source to the bacteria, for the bacteria to feed on, but it can't really feed on it unless it's moist. It needs the moisture in order to survive. So therefore, if you freeze it and you put it in a dormant state, and because those microbes are already within the moisture of whatever it is that you're freezing, as soon as you unthaw it and the temperatures start to warm up, the microbes, in this case E. coli, will begin to multiply again. And then, of course, the warmer you bring it, the warmer the product, like the carrots, it takes a while to unthaw things. So at first, the microbes, they're not multiplying very quickly because the product is half frozen. But by the time it's completely unfrozen, then yeah, you're going to get more bacteria multiplying. All right. So, in my mind, common sense tells you, remove the water, and the microbes, the E. coli, can't multiply. Now, whether that makes it become dormant, like as if you were freezing it, I haven't confirmed that yet. So, with that said, this is how I'm going to combat this issue that I'm suddenly finding myself in, and I am not going to be afraid of the carrots that I bought yesterday from Walmart. Okay? Because I'm under the impression that whatever they sold me got a green light that didn't fall under that recall. Otherwise, if I don't take them back tomorrow, and I have to physically go to the store and take them back to get my money back, as if I'm going to fucking do that, people. I can't. I'm a blind woman. I'm housebound. Okay? So, you know, and I'm not going to throw them out because I can't afford it. We got my landlady wanting more rent, so I got to cut back here, cut back there, you know, blah, blah. Okay, that's not an excuse, but you know what I'm saying, right? I just threw that in there to just as, like, to be sarcastic, right? I'm not going to blame everything on my landlady, but at the end of the day, we know that I have to hone in on a budget, right? Come end of December, going into a new year, right? All right. So I'm trusting in Walmart, or Canadian Superstore for that matter, to be responsible retailers where they're not going to sell me a food knowing that it's contaminated with E. coli and then putting that onus on me to return the product. Okay? Because it was just by chance that I came across that information that there's national. It's not just Canada. It's not just the United States. It's in Canada too, and it's at my local food stores. And these are random products that are all, like, in terms of carrots, different under different brand names, right? Remember when, well, with this video that I'm converting over right now, right? What do you call it? They will sell you the words before they will actually sell you the product when it comes to quote-unquote taste, so that you'll be more apt to buy the product because you're thinking about the taste before you think about how it was put together. Well, it seems like these carrots are all coming out of the same freaking manufacturing facility where they're just slapping on different labels to sell you a different spiel, right? Because too many brands are being recalled at one time. And not only is that the issue, but it's the fact that it's international, from East Coast to West Coast, from South to North. So that tells you something, right? But that doesn't mean that every single bag is contaminated with E. coli. All right? All right. So, with that out of the way now, and as I'm working on Amari's cookbook, you know, I'm going to write down a little section on this. As soon as I'm done doing what I'm doing, as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring out Amari's cookbook, and I'm going to expand on these sections that I'm talking about through these videos in regards to general information when it comes to salmonella poisoning, E. coli, you know, poisoning, listeria poisoning, and the different food pathogens that you can come into contact with under different circumstances, and how these pathogens react to this and that and everything else under the sun, and blah, 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 right? And what, you know, safety measures you can take to prevent, you know, getting sick from them, because you really never know when they're going to hit you, right? So, in this situation, because I plan on, like I said, and I'm going to cut it, now I'm going to end this in a second, and then we're going to get on to the video in the kitchen, right? We're going to start with filling up those beautiful brown jars I have. We're going to start with that. Today's an easy peasy day, because tomorrow I hit the pork and get into making that deep, rich bone pork broth, right? Okay. So at some point, we're going to talk about the carrots, because I'm doing one of two things. I'm either cooking them and eating them, and once you cook them and you boil them for a while, and you bring it past that 160 degrees, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, you will definitely kill off the E. coli, so you can safely eat those carrots. All right? And or I'm going to dehydrate them, to which that means that I've removed the moisture. So in essence, if I'm removing the moisture from the carrot, you would think that the bacteria would die, because there is nothing for it as a conductor to multiply. It's not like you're making it dormant. You're slowly but surely making it innate. And once it becomes innate, it can't multiply. It will just die. That's my thinking, all right? But as a safety measure, knowing what I know right now, I can dehydrate the carrots, right? And then at some point, whether I grind them up and put them back into the dehydrator, which I got a batch of carrots that I got to do anyway, you know, and then just give them that little extra dry before I put them into the jar, because these are going to be powdered up, right? I can crank my dehydrator. I think it goes up to 165 degrees, to which that's the temperature you would use to dehydrate meat, and let it run for a little while, so that as an extra measure, not only is the product dry, but you've definitely brought up to the temperature where it actually kills the bacteria itself, and you ran it at, 3 minutes, like a botulism? 10 minutes, even 10, 15 minutes, whatever. The point is that you brought it up to that temperature, and if there's anything lingering in a dry product, right, you've gotten rid of it. I don't ever recall hearing that a box of something that's got dry goods in it is infested with E. coli as it is with listeria. Okay? I'm just using that as an example. I don't think E. coli can live and multiply without some form of liquid. It needs the moisture, right? But it can be put into a dormant stage through freezing. But once you remove the moisture, there's nothing for it to multiply with. And then, like I said, it would become innate and then just die. And if you're not that too sure about it, well, then just dehydrate it to 165 degrees and you're good to go. So that's what I'm going to do. This is one of those little tidbits in my videos that other people don't talk about because they don't think about it. But maybe you got lucky and you heard about it. And in a year from now, because it might take a boo-boo year from now, for the shit to hit to hit the fan, hardcore, and you're down to your last bag of carrots. You can't go to the grocery store and buy any more because we got another outbreak. Not that you can afford it. And you're looking at those carrots and you don't know what to do with them because you fell for the old okie dokie and was convinced that somehow they're going to kill you if you consume them. Because some of this stuff that we're going through in regards to our food supply under attack, whether it's through corporations being, practicing unscrupulous good business practices for profit, or whether it's a direct attack in a covert kind of way, right, where it's that psychological warfare that is a silent war against the people in general because of that agenda to depopulate the planet with the elite running the show, acting like gods, and they have a right to pick and choose who they want to live and others who they don't want to live, kind of thing, kind of like what our landlords are doing to us as a populace of everyday people. Renting their houses, paying their mortgages, looking after their properties, spending our own money to fix things as we go along the way, to be only tossed out into the streets when we can't keep up with the expectations that are being put in front of us as our grocery stores are slowly but surely overpricing us out at the same time, not including in combination of perhaps, putting us in positions where, we're introducing foodborne illnesses into our body because of their negligence. Okay? So, if you're ever down to your last bag of carrots, don't be afraid to go that little extra mile to take care of the problem of maybe E. coli being, there by either cooking them in boiling water and make sure you kill it off that way as if you were frying a hamburger and frying it to kill it off that way, or if you're dehydrating and then after you're done the dehydrating process, by all means, take it up to 125 degrees Fahrenheit and leave it run for another 10-15 minutes. You'll take care of the job. So here, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to end this and then we're just going to get on with what I'm doing in the kitchen because honestly, I'm like, I'm battling the fear factor right now because of, it's just right now, a lot of it's just stemming to what my landlords are doing. Right? My landlady is not doing this just by herself. Okay? This is what she's taught her family, and she's just following through on what she's taught her family as they're egging her on to do it. Yeah. Basically. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. To kill E. coli present on carrots, you need to cook them to an internal temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, according to blah, 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 blah. Okay? You can use a food thermometer to confirm that this temperature was reached. So long as the food reaches this temperature, well, if you're boiling, it's just a matter of time before that temperature begins to rise, okay? You can feel safe that E. coli bacteria has been eliminated. Also note that some strains of E. coli are heat resistant and can survive cooking temperatures as high as 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So here in this situation, if you go and you Google and you see, all I have to do is take it up to 160, no, you want to maybe take it up to 165. That's why they threw in the extra 65 or extra 5 degrees Fahrenheit, because some of them are a little more resistant than others, right? And therefore, taking it that 5 extra degrees higher ensures that you've gotten rid of it. And as long as you boil your carrots for a fair amount of time, I mean, if you want to get a thermometer, I suppose you could check it. But at the end of the day, 10 minutes of boiling carrots or whatever it is, I'm sure you'll be fine. Okay. If you have any recalled carrots in your home, I don't know if I do or if I don't, because Walmart delivered them last night. So you would think that by this point, Walmart would be the one to recall these carrots before they ship them off to people's houses through online purchases, or even being purchased in the store for that matter. So I'm just automatically by default assuming that these carrots have been green lighted to not fall under that recall list, right? Throwing them out or returning them to the store. Well, again, not everybody hears about this stuff, right? And not only that, fast forward in a year from now, when a bag of carrots is going to be $10 a bag, maybe, or more, who knows, or the selection will be far and few in between, who knows. We don't know what's coming. We just know that something's coming, right? You might not be in a position financially, your cupboards is not as full as you'd like them to be, and the last thing you want to do is be throwing out food, never mind taking it back to the store and not being able to replace it, because for all we know, we could be in soup kitchen lines next year. You're not going to want to do that, people. Worst case scenario. You're going to want to utilize what you have, and this is where I'm telling you what you can do, right? Do not eat any recalled bagged organic carrots. I just bought 2 bags of organic carrots. A week ago, I bought from Canadian Superstore. I was supposed to get peppers. For whatever strange reason, they gave me a bag of pre-washed baby carrots or whatever those things are, and I never buy those things. But because, Canadian Superstore has been good to me, and then one order, a big block of cheese for $27 went missing, 4 rings of sausage went missing, and a bag of JoJo berries for Amari went missing. It was like $70 went missing on my delivery, and Canadian Superstore, they reimbursed me. So in light of that, when they gave me the baby carrots in replace of my sweet peppers that I didn't get, I was kind of choked, but it wasn't worth for me to phone up and say, oh, I didn't get my sweet peppers, reimburse me for the baby carrots, because that's not what I ordered. And then I went online to see how much each costed, and they were in comparable price. So I just chucked it up for like, oh well, that's okay. When you want, next time you order, you can order your bell peppers, and that's exactly what I did. So they cut me slack and I cut them a little slack, okay? The point is I got these carrots, which and I'm not dehydrating these ones, I'm gonna cook these ones up. But now that I know what's going on here, well, I got some whipping cream in my fridge that needs to be cooked up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil these carrots probably today, because that's what I'm doing today. I'm working with a bunch of greens today. I still got the kale to do. You know, I've got to grind up the carrots, slice shreds the parsnip. You know, I worked a little bit on the parsley yesterday. I've got some mint that I got to deal with, you know, because I'm clearing out my fridge, getting ready so that when I do the pork, I have room for my pot to degrease the bone broth. All right. So, and I'm going to cook the carrots up, and we're going to talk about it. And then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to chop up some onions. I'm going to fry them up in some butter. I'm going to pour in some cream. It's going to be so good. I'm going to boil that cream, bring it to a boil, get it going. I'm going to throw those carrots in there, and then I'm going to boil down that cream on a low-medium boil with a lid on it so it thickens up really nice. And we're going to eat those carrots. Does that mean that there's E. coli in it just because they were given to me a week ago by mistake? Well, if there was any E. coli in it, they'll be gone. Trust me, they will be gone. All right? Anything that I'm dehydrating from this point forward, in terms of quote-unquote carrots, because they're telling you to go into your fridge, go into your freezer. And if you bought carrots over the last couple of 2-3 weeks, chuck them out. Or take them back to the store, as if people are going to do that. As if people even know that their carrots might be contaminated. You understand what I'm saying here? So, whatever's in my fridge, regardless of what I bought yesterday and had delivered to my door, I'm just going to dehydrate as usual, grind them up, and then after I'm done grinding them up, I'm going to put them back in the dehydrator. And I'm going to make a special effort to dehydrate that powder at 165 degrees for about 10-15 minutes to kill off anything in terms of a E. coli bacteria, even if it's possible for it to live on a dry surface like that, people. Bacteria needs moisture in order to grow. That's why when you cut your finger, for example, I got cuts on this finger. Oh man, it so freaking hurts. You don't even know. Because, you know, I was shredding, right? And then when I'm shredding, skin shreds off my skin. This one, when I was doing the freaking, what is that called? The asparagus yesterday, I sliced myself with a knife. So I got this little deep cut in there that's going to take a while for the wound to heal from the inside out, right? Same thing with these, right? And if you notice, like, we all know that air helps to heal wounds. The more you can keep, well, it depends on the wound, but the majority of wounds do better if you allow them to breathe in the air. Your body just naturally heals faster because the air itself kills the bacteria. It takes away the moisture so that you don't get the infections to multiply, right? Well, that's, you know, the reason I got this one, and I had to take tape because my band, you know, the shit that you buy these days, even the Band-Aids aren't holding because I've got a lot of work I have to do and I'm working with water and I'm going to be working with pork tomorrow and this is a deep little cut that's going to take some time to heal, right? And it hurts. So does this one. But this one, you know, it's been a few days now, eh? But once I start putting my hand more and more into water, it softens up, right? So anyway, this is the same principle. You take away the water. If there's no water, no moisture, you know, it can't, nothing can grow. It goes, I don't even want to say dormant. But if you're a little unsure about it, and you're dehydrating your vegetables and you take the chance to just take it to 165 degrees after the fact of doing what you did, and you'll be good to go. Because at the rate things are going, like, I don't know, people, there's too many problems with, it's a multifaceted conglomerate attack on humanity that has been divided up into a caste system where those above prosper, get green lights to commit crime, do whatever they need to do in order to fuck those over under that caste system. Okay? And I suppose it kind of goes down to, when you're living for the moment, survival of the fittest. But at the end of the day, if you're not a robot, we all end up go poof one day and nothing will move except us, and everything else will be left behind. I would rather leave behind, when my time comes to go, a whole bunch of carrots that were dehydrated and in this situation brought up to that 165 degree Fahrenheit as a safety measure, than to throw out carrots when I can't afford it, right? As my landlady is asking for more money, right? You know what I'm saying? For rent, that is, right? And I mean, if I'm giving it to her, how the hell am I going to buy another bag of carrots? I'm not. So why the fuck would I throw out carrots? When the store is selling me the carrots, even though nationally there's a recall on carrots. So that's one of those little tidbits that you gain from watching these videos when we come into contact with these hiccups. Okay, so before I get into the kitchen here, because I'm, dragging my feet, right? Because this video is, I'm going to work on filling up jars today, okay? With my jars. And we'll just walk you through it, okay? And we'll talk about E. coli and whatnot a little bit anyway. But before we get into that, I want you to listen to Popular Report. And he's bringing something else to the forefront here in terms of one of his subscribers mentioned something about something when it relates to meat, animal products, byproducts that are now being bought up by some company in the United States somewhere for something that those byproducts are normally not used for, which is a red flag as to what could be coming to our, as human beings, food supply, right? In terms of our choices. Okay, are you ready? We're going to listen.
This is from Texas Stetter, who has given us some good insights and reports from Texas as a...
And, that's a state with a lot of cows, right?
Rancher.
So much so that 18,000 can go poof and blow up one time when there's too much methane gas in the barn, right? Because of the inadequate air filtration system. 18,000 cows, poof, gone in one blast. Imagine that. And that was up in the Texas area, I'm pretty sure.
Texas Rancher here. I told you the last update, I dropped off a couple of Yorkshire hogs last time at the processor. When I came to pick up, I was told a company is now buying offcuts and remnant by the ton. This is stuff like heads, trotters, organ meat, etc. Typically, this is discarded or sold as raw feed to raw feed buyers. However, this company is now buying up literally anything domestic raised at 33 cents a pound, bones, skin, and all. I asked what this was for and was told, you don't want to know.
You don't want to know. Is that a red flag? I don't know, people.
I'm not sure if that means meat products, lab use, but he did say it wasn't for animal feed. Sure glad I raise all my own meat. So next time you go out and get...
So where else would all that byproduct go if it's not for animal feed? Huh? They're not turning it into mulch, fertilizing the fields so that it can become contaminated with E. coli. I doubt that, right? Where else would it go? For what purpose?
Get some sausages and you don't know what's in it.
And when he said that, all I can think about is my sausage maker. And I'm so glad that I bought it. Maybe this time next year, we'll be making homemade sausages with or without nitrates, because you can do both. I'm just saying.
domestic.
And that's assuming I have a roof over my head. Because all of a sudden Canada became, I don't know, it's like I don't have a right to live in this country anymore because of that caste system that's been built right into our provincial government of British Columbia, Canada, where they play lip service to religious racism, who like to play the race card so that they can get their brownie points to continue taking over this province and justify what they do. Because somehow they're the fucking victims. Because people like me are racist against them. Right? Because I can't afford to pay the high rent. Never mind keep a bag of carrots that might or might not be recalled under some, I don't know. If it's been recalled, why are you selling it to me? Why are you bringing it to my door? Why are you not warning me? Why are you waiting for me to find out that information in terms of, oh, there's a carrot recall on this brand? Well, how was I supposed to know that? I already ate them. It's too late. I'm just saying.
Domestically raised beef. Well, what part of beef, right?
Yeah, $6.99 a pound. It's cheaper than going off and buying freaking ground hamburger that may or may not be inundated with pink slime or whatever other fillers they put into it, never mind the byproducts that they grind up to make the hamburger in the first place. In terms of like a sirloin steak on sale for $6.99 a pound, whether you get them cut in steak portions or it comes in on a roast. And if you have to, go for the $8.99 on sale for maybe a little better quality beef, as long as it's a chunk of beef, man. That's all that matters right now, people. And I'm showing you how to take care of it and to preserve it for long term, whether it's 1 year in storage or freaking 20 years in storage, providing that you put it away in a cool, dark place. Right? And depending on how much fat is in the jar, the closer down to the ground, to the north wall, the longer your jar will sit undisturbed with that grease solidified, and it won't move. Right?
I don't know.
And I guess in the case of carrots, now I'm showing you how to prevent E. coli from multiplying in dehydrated carrots, even if it's there after the fact of removing water, because that hasn't been verified whether it is completely gone or not compared to freezing. Forget about freezing. If you're desperate to save that bag of carrots, you'd be better off to dehydrate it and take it to 165 degrees Fahrenheit and giving it an extra 10-15 minutes at that temperature, moving your powder around so that everything gets whatever sterilized. But your basic minerals are going to still be in the carrot as long as you don't burn the shit, right? It's hard to burn things in a dehydrator. You have to really cook them for a long time, and the fan kind of has to go out before, like in terms it won't spin no more, right? Before it will start to burn. So as long as you've got it at 165, moving your powder around over a period of 15 minutes so that it gets through, it has a chance to heat up everything, the chances of E. coli living in a non-moisturized environment is nil. Mold can't grow in a dry environment any more than I would think E. coli can multiply in a dry environment. And if it can't multiply, it will die. It won't go dormant. It will die. There's a difference. And now we have to worry about where these meat byproducts are going. No, we don't have to worry. We just need to wait for the sales or be willing to slap down $200-300 at a shop, at a pop, and can your freaking meat. Okay? I'm telling you, that's the best way.
What do you guys think?
And people will criticize you. Oh, well, that's not fresh. You're wasting your time. Ew, it's 4 years old sitting in a jar. That's no good. Don't listen to them. Listen to common sense. Listen to your grand forefathers and grand foremothers, okay?
What's going on with that?
Listen to the ancient whispers in your head from back in the day when you were faced with worse things than what you're faced with today, but you just forgot about it because for whatever reason, when the majority of us are reincarnated and we come back for whatever reason we come back for, you know, in the backs of the recesses of our minds, there's that ancient knowledge that you can draw on if you just allow yourself to think.
We got Augustine saying, Dothan, Alabama. Sam's still has no canned beef. They've been out for months now. Cindy in Kent, Washington.
Okay, so I'm going to leave this link into this description I'm going to try to put it into the description of this video, because then if you want, you can listen to it, because it's all over the place. And they're doing it in such an insidious way, kind of, people, in terms of these corporations and these people who are running our food supply and who are manufacturing it and whatever. I mean, they're spotting it around so that hopefully they think that we don't notice it, right? But clearly everybody's starting to get stressed out about it. And the more that it's being rammed into our heads that we're not allowed to have belongings anymore, that we have to get rid of our stuff just so that we can end up homeless in the end anyway, or live in fucking even more squalor than what we're living in now, right? It's one or the other, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't get a freaking choice, because the ones that are accumulating mass wealth as they continue to abuse and use others to do it, prosper, yeah, you're gonna have to get in touch with your past. It's either that or chew on leather belts when the shit hits the fan and the food really runs out. Okay, so today is just finishing up with miscellaneous, filling up these jars, right? Dealing with the miscellaneous greens that I have. But you know, as I'm doing this, people, like my eyes are getting worse because this house is dry. It's so bloody dry in here, you know? And the stress, I swear, stress has a lot to do with it. And like, if I had to number my stress level, right, in terms of stress, what provokes, because I'm having panic attacks. That's what's happening here. That cortisol is going in my head. Too much. I'm having disturbing dreams and just, you know how it goes around in this house. I mean, obviously the eyes are a big one, eh? Because it's hard to navigate and do things when you're struggling to see. That's a big one, right? So for me, there's an urgency to get basic things done so that clearly as things get worse, there's at least a little bit of a system in place where things are easier to do. Like, for example, I talked about these jars, right? And how I'm trying to set up a system where things are pre-made in advance, so it's a little easier to deal with, especially when it comes to Amari. Andre wanted cereal. We got distracted, and then it got soggy, and he didn't want it anymore. And it's working out good for Amari, but this I still have to grind up, right? Among all the other foods that he eats, okay? And it can get very time-consuming. And it creates a lot of dishes when you're doing individual meals and stuff, right? This is whipping cream with some hemp seeds, some coconut butter. And currently, I'm doing an individual meal. Right? Where these containers, these ones are a little bigger. I like this size. This is a nice size. That's it. I'm not ordering any more now. I have enough to experiment with. Oh, and I got this, and I don't know. It looked good at the time, but for what it's worth, it's not a very big box. It's the same kind of thing that's down there, to which I'll probably get one more larger container, and that will, and everything else in between will suffice for what I'm trying to do here, as I go blinder and blinder, it really does seem like every day it gets worse. I don't know how else to say it. And, you know, I'm trying to put on a brave face with it and just keep plugging along, even though my heart's going like this, because I keep thinking about my landlady and her family and what they're doing to speed up the process so that my life falls apart, basically, so that they can capitalize off of the economy as it's tanking for millions of people. Only some people will prosper, while many will falter. And my landlady is one of those ones that are prospering. But, you know, it hasn't even been a year before she's trying to raise the rent again. And not only is she trying to raise the rent again, well, she is, I mean, she's not, yet she's preparing me. Cough up $3,000, or otherwise be prepared for a whole lot of bullshit. However that bullshit comes to you, because somehow I'm a bad person and I deserve to be mistreated like that with the rest of my family. And she's got absolutely no fucking solutions when it comes to, well, where you don't want me here, then fine. Go talk to your people and make it so that we live in a civil society where people can actually afford to, right? Don't come to me with, oh, well, it's a sign of the times, you know, you either get rich or die. Well, fuck, I'm never going to get rich. It wasn't written into the legislation for me to get rich. Okay? I'm just saying. So, I'm like scared. I'm running on fear right now, basically. Fear with the eyes, obviously, but I'm trying not to be fearful. I'm trying to be brave and take what God is giving me, because clearly He wants me to see something blind for whatever strange reason. I wanted to say sick reason, but we'll just call it a strange reason. I'm not the first person to go blind, so I shouldn't get discouraged, right? There are no guarantees in life, that we know. And you shouldn't be afraid of the unknown, which I'm trying not to be. See it as an adventure, see it as a challenge, right? I'm just saying. And do what you can until you can't do no more, right? But when it comes to my landlady, I mean, there are no solutions. I can cope with this and not, I mean, I'm afraid every day, okay? Because it's getting worse every day. Now, mind you, I work my eyes hard, okay? If I'm not doing long hours like this, you know, under a fluorescent light that's not, LED light, that's not good for my eyes, you know, I do a lot of computer stuff too, right? In terms of the videos, or if I'm working on the playlist, that really burns out my eyes. And if I'm doing anything of like typing and that kind of stuff, it burns out my eyes. So it doesn't matter, like, you know, there's just going to come a time when it's just not going to matter. But at least this kind of stuff that I'm doing right now while I can, even though it's really, really hard. And it's frightening while I do it, because every day, like I said, like right now, it's brighter, it's blurrier. And, you know, I'm working around that fear. I'm coping with it, right? I'm doing until I just can't do no more, right? And I'm hoping that when I can't do no more, the ones that come in and take my place, right? Because I obviously play a key role in this house, right? They're going to value what I did versus throwing it out in the garbage. To which, apparently, my bongo drums are now by Auntie Shemay's room and Tisha's room, because Marina is downstairs still moving my shit around. And like, I don't even go downstairs, because at this point I want to work on getting this stuff basically done to the best of my ability, to one degree or another, before I tackle downstairs. Because even if I do go downstairs to do whatever, within a day or two, by the second day, I'm getting ran out of there. Are you done yet? We don't want you down here. Go away, because you're being disruptive. Like, it makes me sick, as my stuff is continuing still to this day, being moved around. And now I can only hope that it's not being thrown out. But you see, that's the thing. This is where my son is in denial. It's like that picture with that black woman. Or it could have been a Punjabi for all we know. Either or, it was a brown person or a black person that was on that picture with the velvet, right? And those are old pictures from back in the 60s, well, no, 70s and 80s, right? And Marina took it and put it outside and turned it up against, oh, sure, go ahead, break shit. And turned it up against the fence so you wouldn't see it, only Andre seen the frame. And it wasn't my son who did that. That was her, people. And honestly, I don't even think he was aware of it. Not everything that she does, he's aware of. So whether she's still doing that or not, I don't know, because she doesn't talk to me. She doesn't anything. She's like, I don't know. Right? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right? But yet she feels that she has the right to go and move my shit around because she wants more space for her sewing. So apparently she's moved it right up against my deep freeze, to which they don't want down there anymore. And my son wants to eat it all and empty it out and chuck it out. Like, whatever. Like, fuck, man. Like, you know, if I don't get it from one, I get it from another, right? Like, you think you'd be smart enough to fucking catch a clue that in another 5 more years from now, don't be surprised if you're not fucking starving to one degree or another. Or you're going to be eating a whole lot of bug meal. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and inferior food. Oh, yeah. But of course, they don't think about that because it's just them. A man and a woman with no kids, no responsibilities. And if they have responsibilities, Andre, myself, and Amari, we become burdens to which they basically abandon anyway. Right? I'm just saying. Well, my son justifies it and says, well, gee, Mom, you know, I can't live your life for you. No, you can't live my life for me, but you sure in the hell can't throw my fucking shit out. Like, I'm still coping with that crap, people. Right? I haven't, but I have to put Amari too. I can't deal with the costumes and the fabrics and all that right now. I have to deal with this shit because the clock is ticking for me. So every day I'm operating around fear. And then along comes my landlady. That's my next biggest fucking fear, is her and her family. Because Andre, shut up! Because I never know when it's coming. Never. But it's like those pipes that back up. Every 8 months to 12, 15 months, you know it's coming. And you don't know how bad it's going to come. It could be mild, and you can cope with it, or it could be a freaking nightmare like the last time the garage flooded. And it makes you sick. It literally makes you sick. Because, you know, it really hurts my feelings that she didn't want to help to pay Alex. She was out of town. I had no one to call. Right? It's not like I can call anybody. I left messages on her home phone. I left a little message on her cell phone. She never called me back. Never called me when she got back. Right? You know what I'm saying? And we dealt with it, right? And I saved her money. I didn't call a plumbing company to come in and charge her $400 to do what Alex did. Right? And instead of thinking about Alex, you know, getting out of bed at 5:30 in the morning to come here at 6 in the morning in the pouring rain in the dark to slosh around in 1.5 feet worth of fucking water that's pooling up by the freaking drain that won't drain, he unclogged it. He didn't ask for no money, but, you know, it's not my place to take advantage of him, so I tried to get $100 from the, you know, you don't want to, you don't pay enough money, you know, like, give me more money, you know, and the yard, well, fuck the yard, like, what the hell, man, like, where was your son last year, where was your son this year? He was supposed to come and help me fix the fucking fence, for crying out loud, with the vinyl siding, that, once that vinyl siding is up, that fence, those boards will never fall down, but she expects me to do it. Yeah, okay. Who cares if the porch leaks and everything's get ruined? You know, who cares if Judy's upset? Judy's a piece of trash. She's just fucking taking advantage of an old woman. Yeah, no, it's more like the other way around, people. Like, it's just... So, I'm afraid. I'm trying not to be afraid. But this is why I keep doing these fucking videos right now, because I am. Right? Just when I think I can relax for a few minutes, like... Right? Andre, shut up! Just like I thought I could relax for a few minutes. The fight backed up and then it started all over again. And all I see is a fight coming. Not because there's any grounds for a fight, because anything she's trying to do is illegal and selfish and self-serving with no solutions as to the mayhem that's being created in my life. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I got an extra bit of this, whatever. In another year from now, I won't even fucking see it. So what does it matter? The point is I'm working on a system for Amari, basically, and Andre, and hopefully it will make it easier for me to go blind without panicking. Because, you know, I'd like to see somebody walk in my damn shoes and keep up with the pace that I've been keeping up with, okay? And putting up with the damn bullshit that I put up with just so that people can fucking feed off of me like bloody I don't know what. I know what I wanted to say, but I didn't say it. You know? Yeah. As they continue to critique me. Yeah. And then, oh, well, you're the problem. Those bongo drums are the problem. Yeah, okay. Whatever you got to say about that. So anyway. Eyesight, I fight fear every day. I'm not in denial because I face it. I look, I see, I know what I'm dealing with. So I push past the fear, right? It's beyond being angry. I don't get angry at God, or anybody for that matter, for what's happening to me, except for maybe my government with their orders, and Dr. Fasinski with his negligence, and with the government in general in terms of even if I was to try and file a lawsuit against any, it wouldn't matter. Fraser Health Authority, the doctor, the government, we all know that I'm up against $2 billion, $6 billion slush funds with legal lawyers fighting to protect the ones who injured me. Yeah, so they can continue doing it to other people, basically. As the landlords come in and take their swipes on you, milk you for every dime that you got, and make it so that you become dog meat out in the streets so that they can then profiteer off of the body after it dies, basically. And that's just the way it is, people. And I mean, I can't break away from that. But in terms of the next level of fear, in terms of a fear factor, is my landlord. Yeah. Because I don't know what's coming. I don't know what they have in store for me. I'm caught in their web. Right? Literally. And I can't ignore it. I know it's coming. You don't pay enough rent. Well, what do you want me to do? Not prepare for when I go blind? Not make it so that things are preserved properly so I don't have to go off and buy it again in terms of whatever it is that I'm going to put inside these jars? Not make it where it's like easy to use what's inside those jars, for example, so that I can make a meal for Amari, or Andre can make a meal for Amari, or whatever it is, people. It doesn't matter. Like, why do I have to explain myself in order to justify my life? Why do you buy those jars? You're supposed to give me more rent instead of buy those jars. It doesn't matter what Amari eats, as long as you give him a little something every day. That's all that matters. Here, just give him a fucking drink. You know, that's what the government gives you. The government gives you these drinks. Why aren't you giving him these drinks? Give him these drinks. That's what you should be giving him. It's free. Just because it's free doesn't mean it works for him. I'm just saying. And because she doesn't look after a disabled child, never walked in my fucking shoes, never had her kids fucking murdered, and with them murders being covered up, never had her kids pillaged for their organs so that my kind can live, in terms of she's Punjabi, brown, I'm white, Caucasian, right? Call me a Christian if you want. And I'm not the one going around stalking and plotting and scheming how to get organs for my kids when they need it, or maybe a heart for me. Ripping off people left, right, and fucking center just so I can go off and buy them on the black market and then lie about it and then call myself a fine freaking religious whatever. Right? Like, the world is messed up. That's backwards shit, people. It's backwards. And that's why I don't want to come back. So every day, right? Today is a really bad day. Every day I think about my landlady and how she's going to fucking hurt me and my family. As if we haven't been hurt enough. Yeah. And every day, with my eyes, I'm like, okay, Judy, you know it's just a matter of time. So don't worry about that time. Just be strong and work around what little eyesight you have left. And do as much as you can until you can't do no more. Even though people are taking swipes on you. Like I said, I don't know what the fuck is going on downstairs. I'm afraid to look, people. And when I do go downstairs with a good attitude, trying to be positive, trying to get the fucking job done, whatever job they got for me, they run me out of there. Just so they can start moving my shit around behind my back. So I guess that's my third fear. Because as soon as I hear things moving around, booming and banging, guess what happens? Yeah. As soon as I think about my landlady, guess what happens? And her family. Right? Not so much my eyes, because I can't, I mean, yeah, it's there. But I'm just waiting to die. Yeah. And then it will be over and I won't have to worry about my fucking eyes anymore. Done. But I'm not trying to speed up the process, but my landlady is. My son and his wife are. And people like them for whatever fucking selfish reasons that they have. Because I will own nothing and I will be miserable in their minds. Because I'm the one with the problem. Yeah, okay. Because if I was to bring it to Marina's attention, she'd probably still accuse me of being the fucking problem, as she may or may not be throwing out my crap. I don't know. I have no relationship with this girl downstairs. She's like, I don't know. She doesn't talk to me. She doesn't ask me if I'm okay. She doesn't offer help. Nothing. She lives in a fucking bubble. And she's trapped my son into some sort of fantasy where they're going to have the perfect marriage. Yeah, buy a little house and have a little brood full of fucking kids and be the perfect family. Yeah, as they lock up me, Amari, and God knows what they're going to do with Andre, because like I said, Andre already feels abandoned by his uncle. Yeah. It's just stupid. Stupid. So, those carrots that I'm going to cook up at some point, and then because there's a fair amount of them, I should cook up at least enough for one of these with the onions and the cream. Or maybe I'll cook them both up and just put them in the, yeah. But I got to be careful because I need the fridge space for the pork. So there's no emergency on it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not shredding carrots, none of that stuff right now, because I want to do the pork broth first. And then after the pork broth, then I will shred the carrots and whatever else needs to be shredded, right? And then with that, I'll take those and I'll put them in a pot. And I'll take out the asparagus that's in the freezer up here, those little sliver things. And then I'll try and make a vegetable broth just to see, right? See if I like it. And then if I like it, I'll a few jars of that. And then that's it. I'm not going to be canning no broths of any kind for a long time. And then when I do want to do it, there's a high probability I won't be able to do it. Well, if I ask somebody to come and help me, they'll just tell me that I'm wasting my fucking time and that I'm wasting my money and that I'm being foolish, even though not one of them look after Amari on a regular basis and couldn't give a rat's ass what he needs in terms of food. Never mind how to make it so that it doesn't take up half your day. Doing it this way. As you're being hounded to give all your money to a person who ultimately doesn't really need it because they already own 4 or 5 fucking houses. They fly to India 1 to 2 times a freaking year, man. They built themselves a brand new house within 4 years or 3 years of me moving into this house. They're not selling this house because they want $3 million, but they're going to kick my ass out with 0 assets of any kind and then say I fucking deserve it. Because it ultimately, in the back of the reasons of their minds, they're racist. Well, my government props them up and plays lip service to their politics. Okay, so I put the apple left over from the juice in here. And I put the plums left over from the juice in here. Andre, not right now. And because I took out the juice, I need to add in a bit more juice. You need that pectin, right? So I'm going to peel these little bits of apples. I don't know how many is there. 6 of them, okay? Just enough to add some more apple in there. And I'm going to add a bit of water, right? And I'll probably do about, 2 or 3, 4 tablespoons, no more than a 1/4 cup of lemon juice from a bottle, right? With some sugar. And I'm going to can this up. Because, waste not, want not. Right? But before I can it up, I'm going to put these in there, a little bit of water. I'm going to stir it around, cook it, and then we'll add in as we go. And if I like it, for sure, I'll can it. But if for some reason I don't like it, then it goes out to the garden and it feeds the dirt. It makes dirt. So you can't call me wasteful. Right? Oh, why do you need that? Well, I don't know. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to grind up the parsnips, grind up the carrots. I'm going to fill up the jars, but I'm not going to put them, at least the carrots, in the dehydrator with the powder until the other carrots are done. And then after the jar is full with the other carrots that I'm going to shred and dehydrate and powder, and this is basically full. That's when because of this recall going on with the E. coli, I highly doubt after it's all dehydrated, grounded up, there's going to be any E. coli in that carrot powder. But just to go that little extra mile, I will spread it onto a dehydrator tray, a couple of them, and I'll turn on the dehydrator to 165, and I will dehydrate extra for 15-20 minutes just to kill off any E. coli pathogens if it happens to be there, even if it can survive without water of any kind of moisture, because by the time you're done, it's going to be fucking dry as a bone, right? So, and what, then be called foolish? Why are you wasting your time? Why did you spend the money on the jars? Well, I don't know. What does it matter? Oh, I forgot. I live in some, I don't know, I don't even know what era I live in terms of when you, Okay, so I gotta feed Amari before I do this crap. But yeah, I'm having such serious panic attacks. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna live under these conditions. And that's what makes me think that's what my landlady, she knows it. She fucking knows it, man. You know? My son, he's just being selfish. But yeah, it's a big payday when I die, because they get to come up here and pillage whatever they fucking want, and all of a sudden that girl will be up here looking around saying, oh, well, I can do what I want now. I knew it was just a matter of time before I could just take over and do what I want. Because it's my right as a wife to that useless woman's, you know, me, I'm useless. She sees me as fucking useless. That's why she disrespects my stuff. That's why we have nothing. There's nothing. I didn't ever did a fucking thing to this girl. She moved into my house, and it's just been, like, it's stupid. Fucking stupid. I'm fucking stupid. And since it's been so stupid, you don't think that she's just not waiting for me to fucking die? As a matter of fact, she said something like that on Marcane one time, and Andre picked up on it, and he came and he told me, you know, she said something about you, just wait, you know, she hasn't died yet. She's waiting for me to die, people. Well, my landlady is just speeding up that damn process, waiting for me to die too, so then she can really go after my family. Well, your mother's dead now. There's no reason for you to be here. Get the fuck out. I'm coming in with the bins. My son would be like, holy shit, that does not sound familiar. Isn't that what you did to my mom? Maybe you kind of pushed her over the edge and fucking pushed her into the grave, Mrs. Gill. Have you ever stopped to think about that? Oh, no, I know. It's good business, right? Yeah, it's fucking business. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing until I can't do no more. And I don't know what else to do, people. But I'm not going to stay quiet on it. I can tell you that right now. And I don't care what the fuck YouTube with their psychological war shit, bullshit crap that they're doing with my channel. Right? They got me down to 96 subscribers now because they let people come in with their fake user accounts, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe, as they fucking shadow ban my channel, shadow ban my videos, right? Because I talk about serious stupid shit, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. So I'll self-doubt myself, the whole 9 yards. To hell with them. Now, you see, do this 3 times a day and see how much, and wash in between your little pots and frying pans, and you know what I'm saying? See how long you're going to do that for before you get real tired. Why do you think these jars, why do you think I'm buying these things? So it can be done all in advance. Not everything, but a lot of it. It all goes down to texture with him. I'm not done yet. I still have to stick my finger in there, but before I stick my finger in there, I have to wash my hands because I got to make sure there's no chunks. And even with eyesight, you don't always see them. You have to feel for them. So you don't win for losing. No. You know? I like to see my landlady do this every day. By herself. With it nagging in the background that she's going to be facing homelessness. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see her go through this. Oh, no, that's not true. I wouldn't like to see her do it, but maybe if she did, she'd be a little more human. Yeah. So, he loves this. It's mad. Yeah. he's got a poo, so I got to be careful how much I'm stuffing in him, because we've been giving him those drinks off and on over the last week and a half, right? He's had like 3 of them, I think, which is probably too many. So, I don't know. Okay, so what's happening here? Because I took all the juice out from the plums and the apples, oh my God, I gotta keep adding water, just to bring it to a state of, I don't want to say like an applesauce consistency, because I don't want it as quote-unquote runny as that. I'd like it like just, okay, just a little less moisture, but I don't know, like, I put the 6 apples in there. Now I have to cook them.
That's a lot of water.
I know it. The pot, it was like this in terms of the pulp, and now it's like that with the amount of water that I'm having to put in there because the pulp is just sucking up the water. Right? I'm not trying to do an apple butter or plum butter. I want it where it's more spreadable, right? And because I took out the juice, it kind of took away the flavor of it, right? So the little bit of apple that's in there, it hasn't had a chance to cook yet because all the pulp is taking up the liquid, which is just basically water at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do at least, well, I got a 1/3 cup measuring cup here. 1/3 might be a bit too much. So first I'm going to start with just a little bit to where it would probably be at least a 1/4 cup of this bottled lemon juice, right? Which this one is a new one, to which anytime you come into these kind of things, whether they're on pop cans, like bottles or whatever, always, almost cut my other part of my thumb, always make sure that you make it so that birds and those kind of animals, whatever animals, are scrounging around, don't get their head caught on it and then can't escape, right? You know what I'm saying? So just go out of your way to cut these things just to be on the safe side, right? So now that we've done that, now I got 1 cup of sugar. These don't do any good. They really don't. But anyway. So my biggest fear is my landlady and her family and her organized religion. My second fear would be probably in partnership with the corrupt government and just that type of criminal enterprise when it comes to exploiting the poorest of the poor or those below a certain income level that usually fall under a quote-unquote caste system. The more that we have immigrants coming to our country in Canada, which is supposed to be a free Western state, to which when you're bringing in different ethnicities from other countries where they believe and operate under a caste system, eventually the minority becomes the majority. The minority becomes the majority, right? To where people like my family become, a commodity on demand. And then it would be my eyesight. So I'm going to do almost, if I can see it, I don't know. Oh my God. I don't want to squeeze it out, because if I squeeze it out, I don't know, it might go flying everywhere. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to put almost 1/3 of a cup, so approximately 1/4 cup of lemon juice, to which I might just add a tad bit more for taste later. Right? Plums are basically a low acid food. No, high acid food. With the apple, obviously with the pecitin, with the little extra apple, so it should be fine, right? In terms of you don't have to worry, right? And then of course I'm going to add in the sugar once everything cooks, but this stuff is just sucking up on the water. So I don't know. I don't want to add the sugar until the apples are cooked that are in there. And this thing is heat up really good. And then I'm going to take my bullet, which I can't really do just yet. That has a metal end to it for things that are hot. Right? Honestly, I'd like to do it in a blender and make it really, 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 really smooth. And now, because I've done this, I'm looking at a whole lot more jars. Oh joy. Just to compensate, to can this, because it was either that or chuck it out. And in light of what's going on in the world, it doesn't make sense to chuck it out. Right? It would be kind of foolish, you know what I'm saying? Considering how much money I paid for those plums. Right? So, I got the 4 bottles of juice. Plus, I'll have, oh my god, probably almost 12 jars. Yeah, probably of 250 ml size jars of this plum apple spread, which can be used for a number of things. And once I'm done doing all of this, right, in terms of that last mile, that's when I said to Andre, you know, you can make, what is that called? Pastry. You make pastry, like pie dough pastry, and just lay it out, spread that stuff, fold it over, pinch it, put it in the oven, and bake it as if it was jam, like a jam tart that's made out of pastry. That would work, right? So that's why I'm adding the sugar and just whatever, and so that it can go straight from the jar onto the pastry, right? And then bake it, and it will be tasty. Or you could put it as a, Andre, turn that down, as a, you could put it on waffles, obviously pancakes, crepes with whipping cream. That's another idea. And then you can also do like a date bar, only this isn't dates. This would be plums and apple. Or, depending on how it tastes, I could give it to Amari in with his meals. But I've got other jars, right? This is just repurposing what I took away. As a matter of fact, Andre, I completely forgot about it. I made juice, so the next time you give him juice, don't give him the cranberry. Can you give him the juice that I made? It's in the fridge. I forgot about that bottle, okay? Yeah, thank you. We'll see if he drinks it. Now, as it tastes right now, and I did put the lemon in there, right? So we know the lemon is in there, no sugar yet. I don't want to put the sugar in until this is like really piping hot. Now I could take the blender to it now. Because I took the juice out, honestly, because I took the juice out, it's bland. So, with that said, I could probably do another 1/3 full cup, honestly, with the sugar, whether it's a half a cup to a cup, depending on what we get after the fact. I think I am going to take this little handheld blender to this right now, get it started, make sure it's not on, so hold on a minute. Okay, so obviously you see better than me. Now, I ran it through. Now, what's nice when you do stuff like this is little chunks of apple. So I think what I'm going to do, right, this one's not cooked. So some of them got already blended in. But I think what I'm going to do, but you can see that I've turned it pretty much into a nice, do you see how nice that is? That's nice. But it's still kind of bland in terms of taste because I took out the juice, right? Now, it was $57. Look at how nice that is. So, it was $57 for these plums, and a guesstimate on the apple. It cost me, what was it? For 4 jars of organic prune juice for Amari at $12.49, so that's like almost $50, right? For 4 jars of, what was it, $52 or something for 4 jars? I don't know. Anyway, it was cheaper to buy the organic prune juice than to do it this way in terms of just juice by itself. But because I didn't throw this out or put it in the compost, you can see what's happening here. Like, this is a fairly big pot, and it's quite full, right? I'm only like maybe that much off the rim. So if I peel another, what we're going to do is we're going to just heat it up, and I'll peel another 4 or 5 more apples anyway. And I'll put it in there for that extra flavor, right, to compensate the juice that I took out of it. And honestly, I kind of want to add more lemon, because when I put the sugar in, it's going to offset the lemon, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. You can do this, right? So we're going to put more lemon in, only I don't like this situation with it. There we go. So we're just to give it a bit more flavor, right? And then we're going to get a few more apples, and I'm going to cut them up into chunks, and then I'm going to put them in there and let them cook, but I'm not going to blend it because I've already blended it. So when you open up your jar, what happens is you got that nice pulp with a few little chunks of apple in it, and it's really good, right? And because they're fresh apple, they'll retain their flavor to some degree or another. So that's good. So we'll mix that in. We haven't put the sugar in yet, right? Because, you know, you want it really hot so the sugar changes its molecules. You kind of want it boiling when you put the sugar in, because it changes its molecules once it gets to a certain temperature. And then it will be ready to can. Yeah. This is good. So, I don't know. That might be more jars than I've got when it. This might be more than 12 250 ml size jars. It might be. Okay, now I can slightly taste the lemon juice. Slightly. Oh my God. As if I can tell what fell down. I think it was my stick. I have to wash it. Yeah. You want this, I have to wash this. You want this so that when it starts to heat up, you can have this flat part at the bottom of the pan, right? So it doesn't, you know, burn, eh? So, okay, now I'll be back. Okay, the first thing I want you to notice here is I changed pots. This is the kind of pot you want, because when you start heating this kind of stuff up, it starts to bubble and spit. Spit. Pew. Right? So, and also too, those taller pots, they'll burn on the bottom faster than they would on this one. Okay, now I can't guarantee this camera won't blink out because I thought I plugged it in, but I didn't. And we know that this battery is not the best of all batteries. Alright. So, I already put in 6 apples. You seen what I did with the metal bullet? It's a nice consistency. I like that. I had to add a fair amount of water. We put in almost, well, 1/3 and a bit, almost a quart. So 1/4 cup to 1/3, to which I can slightly taste the lemon juice. Now we're going to add in this apple, which is quite tasty. But we're not going to blend this up. We're going to keep these ones in chunks, but we have to cook them before we can it. And if you do it this way, I'm telling you, when you open up your jar and you go to use it and those little chunks of apples are there, it's really, really good. I like it. See, it's already starting to spit. It just spit on me because it gets heat from the bottom and it makes a big burp. Well, it doesn't spit. It burps. So you kind of have to stand here and stir it. And keep running that spoon with the straight edge on the bottom of the pan to prevent that from happening as you heat it up. So for now, I just turn down the heat so that I can get these apple pieces in there. We do want to cook them for a little while, and then obviously I have to get my jars ready because I'm not. This is going straight into the jars, straight into the canner, because tomorrow we're going to get into meat. So after I can these, I have to keep my energy level quite high still, because I want to get rid of the any miscellaneous, like the Swiss chars that I have. I want to cook them up, get them into containers, plus whatever I'm dehydrating. I ground up the carrots. There's not that much there. And I'm going to put them in a jar, and then we've got the parsnips right there that need to be grounded up yet, and then put in the jar. And so I'll be doing this for several hours yet. And then wash everything, right, for the most part. Of course, I'll have jars on the counter by the end of the night, which will have to be moved at some point, because I'm going to get into that pork, and I'm going to get that pork with the bones and everything starting to simmer, as well as rendering the pork, right, that I cut off. And that will give me, and I have to do laundry too. I'm ready to go. But I never know when they're doing laundry downstairs, so I'm just doing this first, and then I'm going to do one, hopefully 2 loads. But I'm already starting to get tired because, you know, I keep weird hours, right? And I'm on my feet a lot. Plus my heart is palpitating really bad because of that fear factor, right? I don't fear my neighbors. I fear my landlord. And not only do I fear my landlord, but I fear people like her. And there's a lot of them out there, people, because it's a beehive mentality that clearly is, I don't know, anti-humanity. They don't consider me to be human. No. And neither do they consider my family to be human. Because if they did, none of this shit would be going on. No. None of this shit would be going on. I'm 62 years old. You expect me just to throw my fucking life away and end up homeless at the whim of so that you can get rich? Okay. Knowing that there is corruption within the housing market. They know it. They acknowledge it. They just don't take responsibility for it. Mm-mm. Absolutely none. Okay, I'm always losing my hair. I thought I felt it. So yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, title this video What I'm Afraid Of. And then I'm gonna number, I don't know, a few things. With the top of the list, leading the pack, will be my landlords and their family. And likewise individuals. Not race specific, just likewise individuals. Yeah. And depending on your geographical area, you'll know who's who. Who owns the most houses. You'll know. Doesn't matter. And that's not right. Second would be, what, my eyes? Lack of eyesight, losing eyesight. What's the third? I don't really have a third. I've been through so much already. Right? You know? Not much left to be afraid of. I've been through so much already. Yeah. This last mile with this being afraid of shit, though, is just a little off the wall. I've lived a long, hard life. You don't even know. At the hands of others. Yeah. Trying to hurt me. Hurt my kids and stuff. Hurt Uncle John. Yeah. It hasn't stopped. It's just gotten worse. Okay, so there you go. 6 more apples in there. Right? So what we're going to do is I'm just going to stir it in. Trust me. Andre says it kind of smells like as if it was cinnamon apple, but it doesn't have cinnamon in it. So you take that and you stir it in. Right? That's the kind of pot you want. So this is important why you don't throw away pots. Okay? So when it cooks, those apple pieces are pretty much going to stay in the size that they are. They're just going to get a little softer. So that when you open up your jar, you're going to have bits and pieces of apple. Right? Which is great. And then in terms of taste, I mean, I could put the sugar in now, because I'm going to end up heating it up anyway and standing here and stirring it consecutively, non-stop. So as it heats up, it's not bubbling and spitting all over the place and burping and all that other crap, right? Getting all over the place. So when you turn up the heat, this is what you got to do. You got to just keep going like this to prevent those burps from spitting everything up. And then you kind of bring it to almost to like a boil, right? You don't need to boil it because it's already basically been cooked, and once it starts to get to that point, those apples will cook, right? And then you can turn it down, just cook it for a little while. Plus you want to change the molecules of the sugar, right? So you have to bring it up to a certain temperature and let it cook and bubble for a bit. But before you let it spit, you have to keep doing what I just showed you. Right, so we got about a half a cup of sugar in there at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all this stuff. It's still kind of bland, and because of that, because I took out the juice, right? I'm going to put a bit more sugar in it. Because let's just do the 1 cup sugar, okay? Keep it easy peasy. Because basically what's going to end up happening is, I already told you what it can be used for, and now that now that I'm wanting to make juice, and we know I ain't going to throw out the pulp after the fact, I'll do this again with the pulp the next time I do juice. I'm going to look for better deals when it comes to the product itself, whether it's prunes, whatever it is, kiwi, doesn't matter. Apples, so that it's cheaper cost to get the juice. And then for something like this, like I say, once things clear out a bit more, we can get into as a staple. You can pull that out once a week, a jar or 2. I could even do a couple of pints. No, I need the pint size for my broth. I'll just have to fake the funk with whatever jars I got here. As a matter of fact, my neighbor gave me those pop-up jars. So maybe I should be washing those and putting them in, and try and can them in there with the lug lids, just to save on the jars that I have, because I want the meat products with the bone broth. I need my jars, my canning jars for that. So I will look for the jars. I'll see what I can find. And you could use those jars with the lug lids, with the pop-up button, as a compromise to not have to spend so much money. 4 jars, right? I just showed you that with making the juice and recanning and repurposing the juice jars that are commercial. But yeah, once it's all said and done, and I'm not on this roller coaster that I'm on with this food, quote-unquote, last mile of food prep, you can take a jar once a week and make yourself apple plum bars with oatmeal and like, you know how you make apple crisp with fresh apples? Well, you can do the same thing with this kind of stuff. Because, watching these videos, people are complaining about buying cereal. Even me, like, you're paying for a box with a bunch of air inside. Very little food on the inside, right? For what it's worth, right? So, hold on. Okay, so as you can see, I'm filling up these jars before I got it on low, right now. And I'm actually thinking of adding in some maple syrup. And the maple syrup was way back in the day in terms of, I think it was downstairs. I had it downstairs, I think. I had a few of them, but obviously things have gone missing. But besides that point, I got it from downstairs when I had a split second to get into my 14-year-old food storage. So I'm thinking to, when I start heating it up, just to give it a tad bit more flavor, right? I'm not sure yet. Because don't forget, after you open the jar, you can always add in cinnamon and whatever it is you want, right? You could, depending on what you're going to do, right? I mean, you could make it spicy, like as if you were doing a spice cake or something like that. But I don't know. What is the date on this? Here we go. December, best before December 13th of 2014, people. So yeah, this was in my downstairs 14-year-old food storage area. Okay? I know I had more than one. That's the only one I got out of it that was down there, though, because remember, I got raided, right? So, fear factor number 1 is my landlord, her family, and her religion, in terms of that organized religion. Okay? Fear factor number 2 is the loss of my eyesight. Yeah. Because that really makes me vulnerable, right? And then fear factor number 3 would be my son when he's going around trashing my shit and being disrespectful with the amount of money that I spent over the years to even get to where I am in life right now. But you see, he's not satisfied with that because he's disappointed that I didn't buy a house so that he could inherit the house. But I just wasn't in that position where I could buy a house. Remember, I got cut off of welfare in 2003 in the middle of wintertime in December with 5 dependent children and Uncle John, who was a blind man. And I was illegally cut off of welfare, right? So I had to look after the kids, and I most definitely had to look after Uncle John. So I've basically been a caregiver my whole life. My mother's inheritance, when my mom died, my grandma sold her house, and within 8 months, my grandmother sold her house. So in other words, if my mother would have been alive, right? If my mother would have been alive, she would have gotten her share. But because she had died 8 months before the sale of the house, my aunts and uncles convinced my grandmother that I was a lowly grandchild, right along with my brother, and that we deserved to have nothing because my mother was dead. And therefore, whatever my mother's share was to be divided between them. And that's basically what she did. She felt guilty. She gave me $1,000 just because, and I took that money and I bought myself a $500 Toyota Corolla, and I packed up my kids from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I hopped on the ferry. I came to Vancouver to try and start my own business because nobody wanted to help me with nothing in Victoria when it came to my own family because they were too busy casting stones because I had half-black kids, a single mother, and, you know, they were too busy being the epitome of what was right with their business and that business and anything else that my grandmother paid for because that's basically how they got it. Right? And so I came over here with that money. I bought myself, and then when I got on the Alex Fraser Bridge, I had never been to Vancouver, never mind driving a car on my own with 2 kids in the back seat. And a Toyota Corolla was very small. And when I got on the Alex Fraser Bridge, everybody's going like 90 kilometers to 110 kilometers on this bridge, and it's a huge ass bridge, right? And I started going up on the bridge, and everybody zoom, zoom, zoom. And I'm like rickety with this rickety car. By the time I got to 60 kilometers, this thing started to shake. I couldn't go any faster than 60 kilometers up that bridge. That's how brave I was, people, to try and attempt to look after myself, be independent, you know, be super mom. And how old was I? 25 years old. Now, prior to that, though, I did start a company. But because I couldn't produce an income, it was legal. I had to register it. I had to go in front of the cops. I had to convince them that I wasn't trying to run a freaking brothel, because what I wanted to do was start a magazine on the island first with the up on the island, you know, right? The resorts, the fishing resorts, where they were booking dancers because I was starting to sew for dancers, right? So I wanted to start a magazine promoting the fishing resorts and those kind of, you know, vacation resorts where they had featured dancers go, right? And so, of course, that's what I wrote into my business, right? And I made an application for a license and the whole 9 yards. And at that time, I was living in a 3-bedroom townhouse, and I was renting out 2 rooms, right? This is like when I tried to start my business, right? And, oh boy, the social services called that place the revolving door because, you know, people on welfare in those days, well, anytime really, sometimes, they're very irresponsible. So I had a lot of people move in and out. They were stealing from me and didn't want to pay rent, were fighting. So either or, I put the application in for the business. And because I was dealing with quote-unquote dancers, ooh, I had to go and have an interview with the police to convince them that I wasn't trying to start a freaking brothel. Right? And then I had to have the fire department come to my townhouse, and I had to buy a freaking, what is that called? Fire extinguisher and all this other shit in the event of, if anyone was working with me or for me, I had the appropriate environment for that before my license was approved. Well, I did all that. Uncle John was with me, and I paid the fees, and I paid the licensing fee, and I got it approved. And then, of course, I had to tell welfare, like, look, this is what I've done. I'm starting my own company. I went through all the checks and balances. It's been approved. I've got my license. And they said, okay, well, now that you've done that, you know you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, well, no, I didn't know that. But, well, we're just going to give you 3 months. If you can't start producing an income within 3 months, you have to hand in your license. And I'm like, okay. Well, needless to say, I didn't make any money within 3 months, people. They never even gave me a chance out the freaking door. And yeah, I had to go to the welfare office and hand over my license for my business. I was 25 years old. And then I moved out of that townhouse because it just got too freaking crazy with people stealing from me. And one time I was cooking, and I had with this one roommate, and she was an alcoholic, right? And because I was renting rooms, right, so I could live in a townhouse, right? And versus a teeny weeny apartment by myself, you know. So she came raging into the house. She was drunker than a skunk. Went into my oven, and I had a chicken that wasn't even half done. It was roasting, right? And she just started ripping into the thing, was eating on it, and she was like a savage, because drunk, and she was a fucking lunatic. Oh my God, she ate half a raw chicken, I tell you. And then I had another woman that I was renting out the room to, where this woman was large, like she was a big girl. But because I was young and sexy, and I like those tight, like things that hug your body. Well, anyway, this woman was going through my shit, and she was stealing my clothes and everything. And eventually I said to my mom, I said, because my mom at that time was alive, right? I said, I think this girl's stealing from me. I don't know what to do. And she says, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know. And she said, well, let's go to the house and we'll go see. And I said, well, what do you have in mind? And she said, just let's go. So she came to my place. She went up into this girl's room, people. I couldn't believe my mom did this. Honest to God. Because I'd never do it. Because I'm too fucking nice. That's the problem, right? And there was like piles of black garbage bags this girl had in her room, right? And my mom went to these garbage bags, and she just grabbed a bag and emptied it out on a bed, grabbed another bag, emptied it out on the bed. So I had, she goes, what do you see? And I'm like, holy shit, there's my clothes. She had taken my clothes, was wearing my clothes, stretching the shit out of them. Yeah. And then burying them in these big black plastic bags that she had stacked up and around in her room. It was a big fucking pile of shit, people. So needless to say, I had to kick her out. Right? So, and then I moved to another apartment. I got away from that because that was, after a while, it was just too much. I couldn't deal with these people, right? And my mom died. Mm-hmm. And then my grandma sold the house, and she wanted to give me my mom's share, but my family, aunts and uncles, convinced her not to because they were more adult than me. They wanted to start their own businesses. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. I was just a lowly grandchild and didn't deserve to have anything, but my grandmother, like I said, felt kind of guilty. So she gave me $1,000, and I bought a $500 car that basically fell apart once I got to the mainland. And then, because my mother was in a relationship, and the man was a Hindu, and was coming into money because of a car accident, and he killed her, okay? He killed her. Because within a week after he killed her, and like they had been common law for a long time, she was, in her mind, married to him. She told me she got married to him, so I don't know. Maybe they eloped, I don't know. All I know is that she died, and within a week, he moved another woman into the bed that my mother died in. And when I asked for my mother's stuff, he refused to give me my mother's stuff. All he gave me was old pots and pans and a few dishes. That was it. He didn't give me her jewelry. He didn't give me her fur coats. He didn't give me nothing. He didn't give me her will. Nothing, people. And my family wouldn't help me. They wouldn't help me deal with that situation. They left me fucking high and dry. Fast forward, I don't know how many years later, I was living at Wally's house. So we'll say Marquine was born in 92. I left Wally's house in 2003. So at some point, maybe in 2000, in around that time, my Uncle Nick phoned me up. And he started crying on about how he had cancer because he drank a lot and smoked and whatever, and he was probably going to die soon. And he apologized to me because he had my mother's will. And he said, I wish I should have helped you. I should have helped you. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like, this is how many years since my mom's been dead? As if. I mean, he was purging himself before he died, people, because he withheld my mother's will. And if he would have helped me, I would have gotten something from what was entitled to my mother in light of who she was with and what was happening. But, you know, God has different ways of working things out, I suppose, because within a year after he beat the shit out of my mom. That's what he did. And when they found her, she was black and blue. They said that her face was all black and blue and whatever, her body, because she fell off the bed. No, he beat the fucking shit out of her and he killed her. Okay, that's what happened. And, but at that time, we don't think about those things, right? But within a year from that time that she died, he got his money, $450,000, and then he died. So he never got to spend it. The mom came back and got him. So I suppose there's justice for her, right? But nothing for me, because my uncle Nick withheld that will and just didn't want to help to fight for what was right. So I lost out there. I lost out with my grandma in terms of like being an orphan, right? And then, of course, what happened with Uncle John was a really bad situation because I went into debt for Uncle John. I really did. And then I brought in his wife to you know, for her sake and for his sake. And I thought it would be good for the kids to have an Auntie Joan walking around, right? But little did I fully understand what her mental health issues were. But besides that point, it was Eleanor Gilding who decided to steal John's money, not tell him that he inherited money from Joan's superannuation life insurance policy because she was a government employee, or any other life insurance policy that she had, because she was the type of woman that when she died, you know, she wanted people to love her, and because she had such serious mental health issues, it was hard for people to love her. But of course, when money is involved, everybody loves you. And she knew it, right? But Eleanor just didn't tell John that he inherited the money. And John didn't want to seem like that's all he wanted from Joan, so he never asked. He felt it was the responsibility of whoever was holding Joan's will. It was their responsibility to inform him that he inherited money. So he didn't outright and ask. And needless to say, he was medically kidnapped with the blessings of the provincial government of British Columbia, Canada, because he wasn't the first or the last one where personal assets are being stolen from the elderly. And to which, because I had went into debt, not only for him, but for his wife, by taking on the debt load of running a household, right? And when you're looking after anywhere between 7 to 9 people in a household, that is a high debt load as you waste your money on a pipe dream when it comes to, I guess you can say, community activism, where the community itself as a whole is apathetic because it's broken and splintered off into organized religion that operates for self before it would for the whole community. So, and that's the 3 things that I can think of at this point where I don't even know why. What was the point of that? What was the point of that? I don't know. No silver spoon was ever put into my mouth, right? If anything, anytime a silver spoon came close to it, it was robbed from me, okay? So, fear factor. My landlord, their family, and their religion, in terms of that organized religion that branches into organized crime, okay? For profit. All right. That is my number 1 fear factor, because it's pushing me out into homelessness at age 62 with dependent grandkids where one is severely disabled. Well, the government is apathetic to the criminal activity that's going on in our society based on laundering that money through the housing market when it comes in through body parts and all this other shit that goes on. And, I'm expected to get rid of everything. My landlady has the right to buy another house after she sells this house at fucking 87 years old. She'll just go off and buy another house because she reminds me like Auntie Joan. The more money she has, the more love she'll have. So that's why she's so desperate to get all this money before she fucking dies, because unless of course she thinks she's going to take it with her. But I think it's more like just to secure that love. Right? But I mean if you're going around hurting people just to get love, then I don't know. I just doesn't it's not me. Right? And that's why I guess my life has been so miserable when it comes to those kind of people. To which there are a lot of people like that in the world. Yeah. So my landlord, her family, her people, and people like her is my biggest fear, because after everything I've been through, and for as much as that's been robbed from me and my kids and my grandkids, and then to come back and try and apologize to me later, it's like a little fucking late, right? But besides that point, and then my son, who is more like a fool, once a fool, always a fool kind of thing. Like, you're being foolish. You don't see it like that right now because you're being influenced by other factors, whether it's your friends and you're trying to jump on that let's keep up with the Jones bandwagon, or perhaps this girl that came inside that clearly is fucking spiteful for whatever strange reason and has no inclination to have any kind of healthy relationship with me, never mind the kids as a whole, like the grandkids, right? Because that's just not the agenda. Whatever the agenda was, she accomplished it. She basically severed my son from us and got what she wanted when it comes to pillaging my shit at the whim of when she's in the mood for it. And she'll do it with or without my son, to which my son doesn't acknowledge. And that makes me feel very insecure, and I don't want to say unloved by my son, but yeah, basically, because I did the best that I could as a freaking parent. I'm still here holding down the fort, right? You know what I'm saying? And then my third factor, my second factor was my eyes. My landlord, my eyes, and then the third fear factor would be my son, because I don't feel safe with him considering the situation. I just don't. I feel like I'm kind of like with my landlady. He wants me to have nothing, and will justify it by any means just to make it easy for himself, whatever that means, right? In terms of, like, he's not nurturing, he's not loving. He sees me and the kids more like a burden because he's trying to build his own life with somebody that is completely possessive of him and doesn't want to share him and wants to sever his relationship with his family. It's almost like she doesn't want him to like the black side of him. Not that I'm black, but like when she took that picture with the black woman, right, or the brown woman, whatever woman, and put it outside and faced towards the fence so that we couldn't see what it was, but it was Andre who seen the frame. Like, why? And then take Tisha's pictures, who happens to be black, and plaster them all over the fridge. Well, if you want Tisha's pictures up on the freaking fridge, why are you taking a beautiful picture that you had absolutely no right to go into Tisha's room, take out the picture, and then have it put in this position where it was going to get rained on and completely fucking ruined without my son even knowing about that? Unless, of course, my son was involved with it. I mean, what's the ultimate message? To hate yourself. Which makes me feel insecure for him, because all his friends are white boys, except for maybe Edgar, who is kind of like Spanish or something. Outside of that, they're all fucking white boys, right? And, a lot of people are black, racist against black people. And this person that my son married, I feel like she hates black people and wants my son to hate the black part of him. And therefore, that's why she's so adamant to instill hate in him towards me, right? Even though maybe he was already a little disappointed, she really fed into it so that she can have more space. So that, I'm fearful that it's just going to get worse, not better, and it's going to blindside me here, blindside me there, the blinder I fucking get. And he's looking after Elsie. We've had Elsie for like 18, 19 years. And he's locked her up in the bloody bathroom, in the laundry room, because they don't want her wandering around doing, she's not being able to hold her urine, or she sprays, or whatever she does, right? They don't want to deal with it. And versus putting her to sleep because she's so freaking old, they just locked her up into the freaking laundry room where she's basically by herself all the time. I mean, if that isn't cruelty in itself, I don't know what is. So and that's what my dream told me about him. He's gonna just lock me up and fucking build a room and lock me into the fucking room, ignore me, turn his back to me with all his white boy fucking friends looking out into the yonder, right? Planning what for a break, right? Like, as he's building another room to lock up somebody else, which would be Amari and Andre. So yeah, 3 main fears. Death doesn't scare me. John's dead, Shmei's dead, Sierra's dead, and the rest of my family, in terms of aunts and uncles and grandmother, they're all dead. I mean, that's just a matter of time for me, right? If another one dies, well, I'm not surprised, because my family is targeted, and we know where it's coming from, people. There's only so many people that can afford to buy organs, okay? And then there's only so many people that can be coughing them up. You know what I'm saying? And when you're threatening your tenant after 14 fucking years, who basically gave up their life. I never sewed, I didn't eat, I didn't get proper eye care. I was always out in the fucking yard working, trying to fix the wrongs for the landlord so that, and they used it against me, and even to this day. Well, the yard. Well, we're not talking about the yard, Mrs. Gill. We're talking about a fucking pipe that busted up, couldn't drain, and it's 6 o'clock in the dark with some person coming out of the kindness of his heart, and you don't even want to compensate because I don't pay enough rent, so therefore you're just not going to give him shit? Like, what the fuck? Wouldn't that scare you? And she wants me to go? Where? Where do you want me in a grave? You want my kids in fucking foster care being fed freaking supplemental drinks so that they get constipated and their intestines explode. Because then it makes organs available. You don't want me talking about the reality of what your people do, because if I do that, then, somehow I'm a bad person, because I don't have a right to protect myself, protect my family, or anything. I have no right to have a fucking home. I have no right to have fucking food. I have no right to have a fucking future. I have no right to fucking talk about shit that's in, you know, in terms of what's going on in my world, with my family, at the hands of people that clearly have issues, but yet want to walk around like they're so freaking moral. Like, how does that work? And my son wants to fucking jump on that stupid bandwagon because he wants more fucking space to appease a woman that fucking breeds nothing but hate towards me, which spills off to the kids. Because they do nothing with Mari. And they fucking drop Andre like a hot potato for the most part. Because they're too busy building their life. Until they wake up one day with empty fucking cupboards and they're starving. And then that's when they'll look back, and this is where my son is a fucking fool. And he'll kick himself in the ass for throwing out the fucking food that I busted my butt for so that he could even have it in the event of. And because I love him, that's what makes it frightening for me. Because I don't want him to suffer. I want him to open his eyes and be wise. But I don't think that's possible because he's been corrupted by his fucking friends and by some person that moved into my basement and laid claim. As she destroys my shit and ran me out of there. Anyway, that's what I'm afraid of. Those three things, more than anything in life. I'm not afraid to be homeless, people. I've already been homeless. If it comes down to that, well, I'll find a way to the fucking courthouse and I'll fight blind as a bat right up until the bitter fucking end. Whether I die on the streets or not. If that's what my landlord wants, well, then she can take credit for that. Basically, her and her family and her fucking religion, for what it's worth. Because they don't believe in God. That's the problem. But yet they're so religious. How does that work when you don't believe in a higher power, but yet you're so morally fucking religious than everybody else that walks on this planet that does not look like you or who doesn't have as much money as you? Because you know they're getting along with Eleanor Gilding, who is a straight up freaking crook, and she's white. You got the money, you get the prestige. You get the oh, I forgot what it's called. Besides that point, okay, that's my three fears. Now, for what it was worth, I did drop a little of these things on the floor when I was mucking around with the, what is that called? The trays. I kind of kicked myself in the butt for that one because we know this was $70 worth of freaking asparagus. I didn't get much. Oh, God, no. But I did this for Amari, people, because this is easy for him to digest. Something people wouldn't give a damn about. Look how much I got for $70 in terms of dehydrated. I'm just going to grind it all up. And then, it's not even going to fill a pint-sized jar. I can tell you that right now. And I got 4 little more bunches by the front door sitting in a box where it's nice and cold because it's by the door, right? And I'm going to dehydrate those. And then, I don't know, I'm not going to worry about this for a while because for, $100 in freaking asparagus, it gets you basically nothing. But a teaspoon, a tablespoon at a time for Amari, right, in his meal plan, just because it's easy to digest. Well, but under the circumstances, I'm not allowed to think like that. I'm not supposed to have fucking food. Right? Like this is what I mean. Like, it's stupid. You'd be scared too. You're dealing with a disabled child trying to do the right fucking thing with being evicted from your house after all these years. Giving up your life for somebody that couldn't give a rat's ass about you. To end up with absolutely nothing. Except maybe the streets. Yeah. Yeah, so that they can prosper. and run around fucking town bragging about how fucking rich they are. Well, my son is, I don't know, probably still going to be a damn fool. I'd be surprised if it will fill up the jar. I don't think so. So anyway, I have to get on with this stuff. With this. So I found some jars and we're going to use... we're going to use the jars that my neighbor gave me with the pop lids. I have to wash them and take off the labels and everything. And once they're washed, then I'm going to put them in the oven at 225 for at least a half an hour. So that buys me time just to put this all away, right? And then I am thinking to add some of this I've been grinding maple syrup. Now they say maple syrup is not supposed to go bad. However, it's always best to have these things in glass. Don't buy maple syrup that's in a can. Just avoid tin, right? If you're going to get the maple sugar, which I have, but I don't know. I am not looking for that. And if you're going to store it long term, best to put it in glass. I mean, buy it with the glass, right? Obviously, I had a few of these kicking around. They only left me one. Who knows what they did with the rest of it. That just reminds me of that woman when I was living in that townhouse and was renting out that room, and my mom went and just started emptying out, and I'm like looking at her, I'm like, holy shit, what are you doing, Mom? Oh, well, you wanted to know if she was stealing your stuff. Look in that pile. Do you see your stuff? And I'm like, actually, yeah, I do. And I found a big fucking pile of my shit and a whole bunch of shit that was piled up on her bed as my mom was emptying out those fucking bags. It's what I have in the house, people. No different. And I was 25, and now I'm 62. And not only do I have to worry about that shit happening again to me, because I just don't know, because I don't go downstairs. And when I do, I'm not even down there for 2 fucking days. By the 3rd day, get out of here, get out of here. You're being intrusive. It's disruptive. Like, whatever. Whatever. Like, whatever. No, you disrupted my life. Well, my landlady fucking wants to destroy it. Because her family is convincing her that the more she can get wealth before she dies, the more they'll love her. And you know what? I don't care what anybody says. That is the fucking truth of the matter. Because if she was a poor rat-ass Punjabi woman, nobody would give a rat's ass about her. They treat her worse than they treat me. Because they do that among themselves. Under that caste system. Yeah. Alright. I just licked that little silver thing. And it tasted fine. So now I'm going to pour some into a spoon. This was from 2014. You ready? Here we go. Oh, it's so good. I think this would be perfect. Oh, man. I just don't want to make this too runny. See, in this situation, oh man, that is good. You know what? I'm just going to can this as is because I do have maple sugar in jars. Because we did the maple sugar a couple of years ago when it was cheaper. Try and buy it now. Let's just say I have no regrets. Oh my God. And that's assuming you can even find it the way I was when I was buying it. When it comes to maple sugar, right? This is so good. I'll put that in the fridge. And I'll just put it down there for now. And because you can either, after the fact, when you open a jar, add in more sugar, whether it's maple sugar, and keep it as maple sugar, like syrup or whatever, right? Or if you wanted to turn it more like a cinnamon spice cake type flavor, that's easy enough to do with spices, right? So to keep it versatile, I'm not going to add the sugar in it, but when I open up the jar, I'll make sure I'll look around for that maple sugar, because it would be better to put the maple sugar in it than the maple syrup, because it's already at a consistency pretty much where I want it when it comes to canning. And even then, so yeah, that's that. You know, I'm just gonna leave now this video as is because it's long enough as it is. Oh yeah, I'll just show you this. All right. So, oh God. 7C veggies. Now I have still more in the bag, so I don't want to use all these jars for this kind of stuff. So I'll probably just put the rest that's in the bag into clear quart-sized jars. And then, of course, they go into, you know, in my room. And then we got this here for, like, the counter. Because I'm going to start putting this into our food as well as, this is 7 different types of seaweed into Amari's food. Okay. Goji berries. Now, again, I have a few more packages, but I only got 6 more of these jars, and for what it's worth, they're so expensive to buy. They're hard to find in Canada now, right? Because I bought before in the past out here, but they're hard to find, plus I don't get out as much as I do. So I had to order these ones online off of Amazon, and I spent way too much money, and I don't really want to do it again, so I'm just going to settle with putting them into quart-sized jars that are clear, and yeah, that's what I'm going to do outside of this one jar. This is carrots, to which it was only 2. You can see there's not much in there. Was only 2 bags, but we've got more, so this jar will fill up slowly but surely over the next week or 2, and then when it's done, I am going to, or actually, I'll probably take this just for the sake of things, but I was eating those carrots as I was peeling them and stuff, so I'm not dead yet. So I'm not too worried about it, right? But after the fact of going through everything that I've got here, including the last 2 bags that I just had delivered yesterday, it's not much after you grind it up to take that powder, put it on a tray in the dehydrator, and run it at 165 to kill off any E. coli bacteria, assuming that it can even live on dry products, because I don't think it can. I don't. But I will maybe go the extra mile. And then we've got some pecans, which this one stays out, because that I'll be using more for Amari, right? Because again, pecans are easy to digest. What do you call these things? Goji berries are for Amari, right? You know, it's not easy trying to figure this shit out, right? So that's going to be one of his staples. The sea veggies is going to be one of his staples. Pecans are going to be one of his staples. The parsnips will stay out. The tomato paste, or the tomato powder, this is the one I bought off of Amazon, came from the USA, but I'm also going to open up some cans of tomato paste and dehydrate and make my own, so I'll have 2 jars that will stay out. Not here, but these, you know, if I want these ones here, I can, but I have no room, people. Anyway, these will be close by. This will be, okay, close by. Close by. Anyway, I got 3 jars left to figure out what I want to put in them for now. And then I have another 6 more of these and 6 more of those. Plus I have the clear, what do you call it? Pint-sized jars that I will use as I go along to put things away, right? Yeah, to put things away. As these jars here are filling up, because here's the pecans. So as that little jar empties out, I've got those, right? And I have cashews in the fridge upstairs and cashews in the fridge downstairs, which should still be fine, because they've been there for a while as well, right? Oh yes, and then we're going to have the one jar. I'll be surprised if it fills it up halfway. I don't know, that's like $70 minus a few that fell on the floor. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But it's easy to digest. But for whatever reason, my grandson's not entitled to have that. Anything that I get from him for my little welfare check is supposed to go to my landlord. Yeah. And remember, my welfare check with Amari is only $15.20 a month, with $695 of that money towards shelter. I'm just saying. And my landlady wants it all. And then some. And still won't be happy. And she's 84 years old. Like, I don't fucking get it. Other than. And it's frightening. Because it's like built right into her character. And she taught her kids to be that way. As they teach each other like that in the fucking temples. And that's why our society is the way it is today. Because of that type of organized religion. That operates for self. And I'm helpless to do anything about it. And even if I was to try and do something about it, well, we know how that works. Right? It doesn't work. Right? It just doesn't work. Okay, so I am going to wash the jars, get them in the oven. I'm using the button things, and then maybe I'll turn on the, maybe after I'll turn on the camera. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling discouraged. I've been feeling discouraged basically all day. As a matter of fact, I've been feeling discouraged ever since that freaking pipe backed up. And it got real bad after my landlady basically told me that she wanted $3,000 a month. And that I had no right to ask for anything. And that, and then throw the fucking yard in my face. As if. As if. And now I sit every day, all day long, wondering what the next attack is going to be when it relates to all of that crap. Yeah. Fear number one. That's my biggest fear. And I'm tired of being like this. It's been like this for a long fucking time, right? I gave it my best in that yard, right? You know what I'm saying? I gave up my fucking life, and for what? It's like she wants me dead. Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. All right. I don't know about this asparagus situation. Seriously, man. This line on here is right there. You can see that. That's $42 worth of basically dehydrated freaking asparagus. Now, mind you, I've got some peels in the fridge because of, you know, that stringy shit, right? But when I was cutting them up, I didn't get everything off. So this time I've got 4 smaller bundles still to do. Because so 42 and 28, that's like 50, 60, 70. So I spent $70 on asparagus. For Amari, people, okay? And because it's easy to digest, right? So at best, I might be able to get 3/4 of a jar by the time I'm done. But next time, though, which will be in the next day or two, Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I have the parsley I'm going to throw into the... It's getting late, but I got to keep going, right? Into the dehydrator. And tomorrow I want to get into the pork, but I have to finish the greens, which I might just end up doing because once the pork is cooking, and I'm going to do 2 pots, I won't be able to do this, right? So I basically have to do probably the rest of the asparagus. The carrots and all them, they can wait, right? But the asparagus should be done tomorrow, first thing, and then get on to the pork, right? And I'm going to try and finish with the kales tonight for the most part, right? In terms of cooking them up and putting them in my jar, right? You know, right? In the fridge to eat. And one is going to be dehydrated to mix in with the parsley for, you know, gravy and making and all that other crap, right? I have to find a box for these jars. I had them underneath the chair over there, but I just want to box them up. And over the summer, my neighbor, she gave me other jars as well, and they're on my porch in a cardboard box, with the box in a plastic bag, but with it sitting out on the porch and it's so damp and leaking and everything. But I'm glad I have them because I think it's going to work out well for what I'm doing. It didn't cost me anything. And when I made the juice, I was impressed, right? So, but before I get on with things here, because I've made my little spot here for now, just enough for a few jars, I'm going to be using these jars with these pop buttons, but I just want you to notice that this one's not really working very well. So I'm not going to use this jar for what I'm working with right now. I've got a few other ones. I've got 5 other ones approximately that size where the button actually, you can hear it go up and down, up and down. So just be aware of that. If you don't hear it, then the lid itself might be something wrong with it, right? So I wouldn't repurpose to can with this jar, because you should hear it, right? It's going up and down, but it's not really making much noise. So I'm not going to use that one. And I have other ones out on the porch, all bagged up and everything. I don't know, people. Like, technically they should be downstairs in someplace dry, right? Because if I'm going to be making juice, this stuff is going to pile up, because that's where you save your money. Yeah. And especially if you buy that stuff on sale. Right? In terms of, like, the apples, like, whatever, right? To which that's what I'll be doing. And I am going to I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jars here. Because buying them, and I can 3 and I have 1 in the fridge, that's 4. That's 9 jars. And I have a couple of other ones, right? They pile up fast, but they work good, right? So now I just have to find a way to get my fruits, basically, or at least half of them, cheap. How I'm going to do that in this day and age, I don't know. But like I said, I'm going to start going to the food bank, because I'm going to break away from shopping online. Obviously, I won't stop, especially if I'm going to be doing stuff like this, right? You know what I'm saying? And I can't be bothering Tisha to be taking me out all the time, but I do want to go back to those little Punjabi stores and just see what they have available, right? Because I want to do apple kiwi. I wouldn't mind doing prune juice again, even with apples, that's fine. But when it comes to the leftovers, well, this is where you got to get a little creative and make an effort to make it a staple. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, this is not for Amari to eat with his meals. That's a totally different product that I make when I do that, right? This would be more like for, when you make pastry, like I said, and you, instead of using jam, you can put that in and bake it, and it would be good. Or maybe for, with an oatmeal crusty type base with that spread, across it with maybe some nuts or something with the, the crumbles on top, and then bake it. That might work, right? And you can either go with the cinnamon spice taste, or you can go with the maple, whichever you prefer, right? It is leaning more towards the apple because I added those last 6 apples. I can taste it, but it's still quite mild, with a tad tang of lemon, right? Andre, I just need you to taste this for me and tell me what you think of it.
Why?
Because you're coming in fresh. You're coming in fresh.
I don't know what you mean.
Just come taste it. Now again, after you open the jar, you can add in, I would say, cinnamon. With some allspice and that kind of thing. He's going to taste it. Okay, taste it. Hurry up before it drips. Oh, sorry, I can't see your mouth. You have to go like this. I had the spoon too high.
Applesauce?
It tastes kind of a little bit like applesauce,
No, definitely like applesauce.
but only smoother.
Yeah.
And if it had some cinnamon,
It would taste more like maybe applesauce with cinnamon.
yeah, with some maple sugar in it, or maple syrup, that would be really
It's
good.
though. I like it.
It's not that bad.
Mari would definitely like it.
I could give it to Murray. He'd like it for sure. So the point is, though, we'll have to make it into a staple, because if I'm making juice and I'm piling up on the jars and it's not going anywhere, so maybe I should put it in my head that once we clear out a bit, it's nothing to roll out some dough or whatever and try and once a week teach Andre how to make it once a week with this stuff. And then you're moving it, right? It's not just accumulating case after case after case after case just so you can make juice, because it's not anything you want to throw out when you can actually do something and make it where you can actually eat it. So I paid $57 for the plums, which was between the plums and the apples, it turned out to be $57. I got 4 containers of juice and a big pot, really, with a few more apples in it. That's going to probably give me, we'll see what we get after I'm done, so hold on. Okay, so those jars are in the oven there. Oh, God. What the hell, man? I didn't even turn on the freaking oven. Oh, my Lord. Now I have to wait. Oh.
Does that mean I get to stay up longer?
No. I have to wait a half an hour for them to get, less than a half an hour, really. But I'm going to leave them for a half an hour. Like, what the heck, man? You have to sterilize them, and I'm not boiling them. I'm using the same water that I had when I did the juice. But you know what, people? I don't know. I'm listening to this Latrese Allen, right? She apparently moved back into the quote-unquote hood as she's renting out 2 of her quote-unquote properties. Right, because she's a rich bitch, right? And she's gonna be selling candy and have kids knock on her door to buy freaking candy and frozen slushies of some kind. I don't know, she has a name for them. And sell food that she cooks in her kitchen in an apartment that she lived at before she quote-unquote became fucking famous, right? And she's begging, but not begging. She's just asking for people to support buying her son's sheets for his beds, for their bed, or whatever. She's got a list of something on Amazon for people to buy as housewarming gifts, right? And she put down sheets because she wants extra sheets and she's putting down different. Like, and like, I don't get it. Like, the only reason this woman is so popular on YouTube is, one, they send the traffic her way, right? That's because she's black. She connects with the black community in the United States mainly because she's black. She has no white friends, right? She didn't want to help me with the foundation. Oh, she's going to do another back to school drive. Well, you're not going to sucker me in this time and have me send you jack shit, because as far as I'm concerned, you're nothing but a freaking farce. If you're so fucking rich with your properties and your Airbnb or whatever it's called, like, you know, whatever, like why are you asking for donations for household goods? Why didn't you pack up the sheets that you had wherever you were living prior to, that you supposedly own? And people fall for it and they'll buy her fucking sheets. Well, YouTube shadow bans my channel, right? Because, you know, I talk about how black people are targeted for body parts. And my family is testament to that. But you see, we're not that black though, right? You know, like my kids, they're not as black as they should be. Maybe if they were real black, then maybe they'd get some attention and people would care. In terms of black people caring about black people having their organs harvested. Otherwise, they don't give a shit if a white woman has to say anything about it. Fuck no. Like, it's like, I don't get it. And that Raw Squad fell off the grid. She hasn't even been doing any videos, so I'm thinking she's stuck up in the hospital, probably sicker than a dog. Maybe on her last breath. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. But all I know is this, I'm listening to this, and I'm back in the hood. I'm going to do a back to school drive. Well, I remember that in 2017, what turned out with that, which was absolutely a big fucking farce in my opinion. It was just a means to get people to send you shit. That's it. And she's going to have kids knocking on her door to buy candy so she can do her hustle in the hood as she's cooking food and making people pay for it. But yet she's so fucking rich, bragging on how she makes over $10,000 to $15,000 off of social media every month. But yet she's so poor because Facebook doesn't pay her as much as they used to. And I'm like, your biggest issue is you're going to go to the food bank for social time and to maybe to scoop up on some cheap apples that nobody wants so that you can make juice, so that you can pay your rent and be badgered by your landlord and face homelessness day after 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 day, until eventually it will happen and people will just walk on by and kick you to the curb like a damn dog that nobody wants and say that you did it to yourself and you deserve what you got. Yeah. It's so stupid, man. So stupid. And people give her they'll give her sheets. They'll buy her sheets. And she wants cups and this and that. She's got a whole list on freaking Amazon in terms of... Okay, I have to wait at least a half an hour for these jars to get sterile before I can do this. So I guess that buys me some time to put the freaking parsley into the dehydrator, which I'll go do right now. I'm just saying. Well, it's a good thing I don't do YouTube for money. I was one big flop. Yeah. I wasn't black enough. Yeah. Or maybe brown enough. Who knows? I didn't report on the news enough. Be alternative news, right? I'll just do until I can't do no more. God. She makes $10,000 to $12,000 a month on social media. I don't know if that's just one, like TikTok, or it's a combination of all, because she goes on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. She just pays her mortgage, and and she's going to sell candy to the kids as they, can I buy some candy? So she can stack and pack and save her fucking money, because she lives basically in a good ghetto, a good neighborhood ghetto, with everybody out there grinding, selling food. So she's going to get out there and start selling food so she can stack and pack the money as she's raking in $12,000 or more. And that's what she tells you off of social media. And then she's going to do a back to school drive so she can get all these donations coming from everywhere, including fucking Canada, but not by me, that's for sure, not this time around. And she's going to pick and choose and keep what she wants, and then do her little video in the hood, giving away, I guess, backpacks, so she can convince you that she's this generous woman. Yeah, okay. Fuck. As she's asking for housewarming presents, why didn't she pack up the sheets from the house that she was living at, that being that she owns the house? What's wrong with those sheets? Like, right? I'm just saying. And she's got a list of, apparently, but it doesn't seem to be posted, at least not yet, on Amazon, of all these things that she needs for this house, apartment that she moved into. Like, why didn't you bring sheets from your fucking house? I'm just saying. Like, who does that? And people are gullible. Oh, well, somebody just bought me 2 sets of sheets for the boys. Yeah, well, that's just pathetic if you ask me. And I'm feeling guilty for going to the fucking food bank just so I can get a handle on my life. Cut back on my expenses. $170 on less than half a jar of freaking dehydrated asparagus for my disabled grandson. I'm just saying. Right? I mean, I'm pretty mild compared to this woman. Seriously. Yeah. Lucy's box is still sitting in my bathroom. I don't even know where April's box is. It's still kicking around with that doll in it. For all I know, it could be on my sewing table still after all this time. Right? I get discouraged about sending things out to people because it costs a lot of money for shipping and all that other shit. Not to mention whatever it is that you're sending. And at the end of the day, it just, I don't know. But eventually I'll be done all this, and then I'll pull out Lucy's box. I never go on Facebook, at least not yet. I'll see if she'll message me back with her address, and I'll send her box with the teapot in it. And I told her last time I spoke to her on Facebook, which was quite a long time ago, that when I'm picking through my fabric, I'll throw in a few pieces of fabric, miscellaneous, whatever, because she wants to sew doll clothes and stuff, right? But I don't even have time to do that right now, because basically I've got Amari on my brain, trying to do whatever I'm trying to do here, and not have panic attacks every freaking day because of the bullshit that goes on in this province when it comes to, get out! You don't pay $1 million! Didn't you know? I'm Latrese Allen. I'm always grinding. Give me my money. New donation! Oh my God. You think that's funny, Amari? I hear you giggling, huh? Yeah. You such a good boy. Nana's working hard trying to get it all figured out, Amari, where we're going to get into a great routine. with or without community support, with or without my landlord fucking giving her blessings, because it doesn't seem like it's even in their vocabulary. No. Yeah. I'm just waiting for these jars. As soon as these jars are in there and I'm heating this up, I want to bring this to a boil first, because I was doing the juice in it and it sat for, what, 2 days? Or whatever. So I just want to boil off any pathogens that may have started to breed. So we'll boil that for a good 10 minutes. The water is clean. It's been sitting there. And I had the metal bowl over top, so it sweats. So I just want to make sure, so I'll give it a good 10-minute boil, right? And then before I put the jars in. I don't know. You know, I don't know why this woman irks me. Like, why should I care what the fuck she does? I don't. It amazes me how gullible people are. Like, they have no clue. Who sells candy to poor kids in a poor neighborhood so they can stack and pack their money as they're raking in 12 grand or more on social media? Yeah. Asking for donations for one cause or another cause or another cause, but ultimately, you know, it's not like this woman is pulling out of her fucking pocket and paying for anything. No. But she's taking all the credit for it, right? Like when she had her little dogs. I guess she doesn't have her dogs anymore. But people were sending her freaking dog food, for crying out loud. You got $12,000 coming in a month and you can't afford fucking dog food? Like, clearly there's something wrong. Yeah. I don't know. And she sleeps with her daughter, but her daughter's got a bed just in case she brings home a man. And then she's going to kick the daughter out of the bed. And being that she's got sheets on her freaking brain, I'm wondering if she's going to clean the sheets before the daughter crawls back into the bed after the man leaves. I'm just saying. I'm sure she will. Then she'll be asking for donations to pay for the laundromat because, you know, she's stacking and packing and paying her mortgages. Yeah, okay. And people fucking fall for it. As YouTube shadow bans my channel. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
It's just stupid shit. So, as soon as these jars are ready in about, I want to boil this off for 10 minutes first. Just because I didn't want to, it's a whole bunch of water. I'm being conservative with the water right now. Once that's done, the jars will be done. Then I turn this up, right? Because we got that sugar in there that we kind of want to change the molecules a bit. So it's in my best interest to bring, and this is going to kick out in a second, to bring this up to a, you know, right, to some degree or another as you continue to stir, right? Just to get that sugar changing its molecules before you can it. And then after that, I don't know what time it is, but I'm probably going to cook up the 2 kales and put them in my bowls in the fridge so they're cooked. And then I've got one that actually needs to be blanched before I put it in a dehydrator, so I should actually do that tomorrow with the other. They gave me 4 little bundles of asparagus. So I'll do the asparagus tomorrow in the daylight because it's easier for me to see in daylight, as well as the kale. And then once that's done into the dehydrator, then I can focus on the pork. And that's going to be a couple of days to do that. And I will do a video on that because I think it's just important to